Oh, and we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Good, the Mad, the Ugly, your spot for deep dives into more niche nerd topics like tokusatsu, anime, video games, all that sort of fun stuff. I am, of course, your host, Mav. Some of you might know me as Spencer, and I'd like to welcome you all back to another episode, like I said at the top. Yeah, guys, so clearly it has been a week, to say the least, right? So yeah, I if you didn't catch the title, if you didn't catch the thumbnail, if you didn't catch any of the news on social media over the last 24 hours, Akira Toriyama, the man behind Dragon Ball, the art of Dragon Quest, of Chrono Trigger, the man behind Sandland, he's passed. Like, he's actually gone. So, yeah, tonight I thought that, we'll eschew our regular format. There really wasn't, normally we talk about, the happenings of the week, something that came up, yada, yada. I'm going to be honest, guys, there really wasn't a lot this week. We had Zack Snyder's awful interview on Joe Rogan, which, yeah, it was bad. And he talks about like, oh, I don't really respect canon. I don't care about all this stuff. But it's like, we sort of already knew that. It's nice to have it in confirmation, but we already sort of knew that you were a little full of yourself. And then we have we have the Warner Brothers chief diversity officer saying, yeah, if you just want, if you want people out, if people don't want to agree with DEI, just ignore them and they'll leave on their own. And that's good. We should support that. So like, those are the big things. Everything else sort of not a lot coming out of video games, not a lot coming out of Marvel right now. Obviously, the big thing, the current news cycle is Sweet Baby Inc., and we have talked about them. I actually put my thoughts, if you've been here, you know my thoughts on them. I actually put them into a Bounding article. Basically, yes, it's really nice that they're on the back foot and they have to, and all of their journalist friends and everything are running defense for them. That's good. It obviously, like, it shows that our pushback is meaning something, but don't get caught up with like, oh, Sweet Baby's done or whatever. We got them. Well, mission accomplished. Video games are saved because there's so many other like heads of the Hydra out here. I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but they really truly are like Hydra heads. There are, and that's not with like Sweet Baby, right? That's like with any industry or any sort of consultation. If there's a need, if there's a desire for it, somebody will step up to provide the service, whether it's good or not. If there's a need, somebody will fill it. So it's all about, stay vigilant, but keep, stay vigilant, keep pushing, but also don't get hung up on winning one battle and not the war. So yeah, like those are the big things that really happened this week. I'm sadly not one of the people who's playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because obviously I don't have a PS5. What? Here's the thing, like, one, why would I have a PS5 at this point? I have a really good PC, but also like, we've gone over this. There's no really good exclusive games, and it's not like the price differential just isn't there for somebody with a good PC. I know if Cassie were here, she'd be like, yeah, no, that's exactly it. But yeah, so I'm with Andrew. I'm waiting for that release. It's gonna come someday, hopefully. But until then, I do have to hold my breath, and it sucks because I'm hearing just the best things about this game. Like I'm hearing like, oh, I'm 70 hours in and I'm only at chapter 5 and I'm doing things. And I'm like, I want this game. Like I am very fearful for when this game comes out that I'm not going to get anything done. I'm not going to get any art done. I'm not going to get any music done. I'm not going to, I'm going to stop working out. I'm going to just do all this stuff and just go head first into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I can't wait, but I unfortunately have to. I can't wait, but I have to wait, right? Like, I guess that's the best way to really put it. But before we all get started and start delving into this, I want to say hi to the chat, because without you guys, I couldn't be here. Obviously, we started off with Tehillim saying shalom and good to see you all. Always a pleasure, my friend. Good to see you as well. Corey, my man, says, hey, Mav. Hey, that is my driver right there. I don't even know. What do you want me to call you, Andrew? Like Andrew, Indy Andrew, Caffeinated Wolf, whatever. During his Sunday night community streams, Corey's my guy. I'm behind Corey. Ravul saying, hail all. What is up, Ravul? He says he's waiting for the fall of Square Enix. Honestly, if there's got to be a crash coming at this point. That's probably something. Maybe I'll talk about that a little bit, but like there has to be a crash coming. There's no way any of this is sustainable. And I feel like Square Enix is going to feel that burn as well. We got Yosef Productions. What's up, Yosef? Saying rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. Yes, dude, like that. We will get into that. Trust me, it's weighing heavily. Like I will admit to you guys here before we like delve into it that this is probably the first major celebrity, like he's not a celebrity in the tabloid sense, but you know what I mean, like a notable figure who passed away, and I actually like deeply got emotional about. Right, like I felt really bad about Stan Lee, like. I was having this conversation earlier with Dante Erics. If you guys know him, he's in the chat a lot. He is a new writer for Mounting into Comics, but we were talking about, you know, he was like checking up. He's like, hey man, how are you doing with all the news? And I'm like, it's really tough, yada, yada. And he's like, yeah, it hit me the same way that Stan Lee's death hit me. And I was like, that's interesting, because obviously I was sad when Stan died, but I think this is my read. Like, Stan's death didn't hit me, but what happened is, like, if you guys ever saw him at a convention or on a press tour in, let's say, like the 10 years prior to his passing, Stan just didn't look it. It was sort of like one of those, we all know it's coming. He really, like, it comes as less of a surprise, you know what I mean? And yeah, so like when Stan passed, I was like, good, they don't have to cart him around anymore. Like, he doesn't want to go to these conventions. He probably wants to sit at home. But yes, let's see. I don't even remember how I got on that little bit right there. But then, yeah, we have Tehillim says, only recently I started watching some more Dragon Quest Adventure of Dai. I have not watched Adventure of Dai, but I've definitely read it. I think that's like that's always a running theme on this stream, right? Is that I've never watched the anime adaptations. I've only read the mangas. But that is that's a really good way to, you know, check out Toriyama's work, because obviously he defined the Dragon Quest art direction for its entire run. That's going to be really weird, isn't it? Like, maybe they hire Toyotaro, the guy who currently does Dragon Ball Super, and maybe he's the one who will keep providing the artwork for Dragon Quest. Or if you guys know him, Fenyo N, he's an artist on Twitter. He does art for Dokkan Battle, and he's really, really good at imitating that style. So, like, obviously they're not going to move away from that style. It's just going to be about finding the right person to sort of emulate that style. You know what I mean? Like, not copy him, but, or what do I want to say? Emulate. Emulate is the right term. That is the term I wanted. Zero says, I'm so late. No, as long as you're here, even if there was 10 seconds left, even if we were doing our last call for last minute news, you would be welcome, and you would be right on time, amigo. And yes, Wolf, I'm pretty sure Zero is my excitement for Rebirth pales in comparison to Zero's. I know he's so excited for everybody to play it, for himself to play it, for him to finally get to the golden saucer, to finally not play as Vincent. I'm still mad. Still mad. Let's see. Timon says, Toriyama was more like a Ditko than Stan Lee, in my opinion. Rest in peace. Oh, I would agree with that as well. I wasn't necessarily comparing, like, them as equal in career and everything. It was more just like, you know, Toriyama made Dragon Ball, and then Stan created, like, Marvel. And so it, you know, just their creator presences, all that sort of that's sort of what I meant more. Just like, oh wow, we lost somebody major. Because yeah, Toriyama, you know, he did story, he did art as well. He was he didn't, you know, Stan, one of the things he used to rely on, there was this thing called the Marvel method, where Stan back in the day would write general outlines for things and like plot beats and maybe some specific dialogue, and then he'd pass it on over to the artists and say, basically, do your thing. You know, if you have to add some words, make it work around this. I don't really care. Go. Toriyama, on the other hand, had, you know, he did it all. Of course, he had his assistants. Everybody does in the manga industry, but he, you know, he was scripting and writing and drawing, and not just Dragon Ball, but, you know, Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger and all of the stuff at all the same times. It's insane. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about him. We will. I do want to, you know, finish saying hi to the chat, and then I do want to touch upon one specific video game related topic, because you guys brought it up, or it was. At least something sparked it in my mind. So at least let me bring it up over here. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, that's what I mean, Andrew. Dozer is so excited all the time. Like, he messages me and he's like, Mav, I can't wait until I until I can finally play Rebirth. I love the fact that it's a different take on the game and it's not the exact original plot line. Oh man, guys, I have to laugh about this because I laughed about it with Dozer or with Zero, but the other day I was watching Zero's stream and he was playing, I don't remember what game you were playing at the time, but he's playing that, right? And Dozer's Brazilian, he lives in Brazil. He's playing his game and all of a sudden he stops and he's like, "Do you guys hear that?" And I was like, "No, I don't hear anything." And he's like, "I think I can hear in like the apartment across the hall. Yeah, I think they're watching a Dragon Ball episode. And I'm pretty sure it's this episode." I don't remember which episode he said it was, but I was like, Zero, that is the most Brazilian thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, "Oh man, do you hear that? My neighbor is blasting Dragon Ball at top volume, and I know exactly what episode it was." It was so funny. But yeah, total Brazilian moment. Ravul says, El Salvador and China have both made statements about the passing of Akira Toriyama. Oh, man, everybody has. Every single pop culture entity, every single, like, government. He's huge. Like, Toriyama, his influence is not to be understated. Obviously, like, Dragon Ball is a cultural, like, establishment. When, like, if we were to send a time capsule into space, like a genuine time capsule, it would have, like, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Constitution, the Magna Carta, and like the first, and like the Saiyan to Frieza sagas of Dragon Ball. Like that's 100% what it would have because it was just so beloved everywhere. I was really surprised that China made a statement just because I generally don't assume anything good to ever come out of their government, right? So that was a nice thing to see and sort of be able to put politics aside. I am very, very concerned for Latin America, right? Like, are you guys okay? I haven't heard from, Zero's the only Latin American friend of mine I've heard of in the last 24 hours. Are you guys, are you in mourning? Are all the flags at half mast? I'm truly, truly concerned for my Latin friends. Let's see. Zero says, "Oh yeah, Dragon Ball Z was on my background. No, it was from my mom's room. I even knew what episode it was from the dialogue." Yeah, see, like, most Brazilian moment you possibly could have had, Zero. Shinkai. First of all, Shinkai is here. Says, "Happy to be here. What's up, buddy? Always a genuinely love having you around, my friend." The reason I had that weird pause there is because I realized I'd said it's been a pleasure to like everybody so far. And I'm like, it's time to switch it up. I care about you guys on a personal level. You're not just names on the screen to me. So Shinkai says, "Is it fair to say Toriyama is equal to Tezuka?" I think I don't. Here's where I get stuck up on that. Is that Tezuka is Tezuka, right? Like Daija 28 or Tezuka or Tetsuchi in 28 and Astro Boy and just all that stuff. And he's so iconic and he's influenced everybody. He even influenced Toriyama himself, right? So if you guys didn't know this, the very first way Toriyama got introduced to art was by watching, or like how he got his like creative spark was watching 101 Dalmatians. And then after that, because he and his friends were really poor growing up, they would draw a lot and they would imitate the popular manga of the time, which was Astro Boy. And you can sort of see that in some of Toriyama's work. But I think I hesitate to sort of put anybody on that sort of grand pedestal so early. But I think Toriyama might have a good running in there. I think maybe, like, I want to say yes, honestly, Shinkai, because aside from just other mangaka, imagine all the just media, the people he's influenced over the years, from musicians to politicians to just everybody, right? Like, dude, Toriyama's work is so popular and so well known that when Jiren fought Goku at the end of Super at the Tournament of Power, Mexico held like in public viewings of the match. And like they held celebrations. Strip club said, "Oh, if Goku wins, we'll give away free like lap dances." It was insane. So I think there is an argument that could be made there. I don't want to be the one to put it forth as like an academic statement because I don't have the research in front of me, but I definitely think there's something there, Shinkai. Like, for all we all love like Kishimoto or Tide Kubo or even Oda, right? For all, like, we might love those franchises a little more than Dragon Ball at times, or they might, sometimes take ahead of Dragon Ball for a couple months in the cultural zeitgeist, but none of them yet have had the sort of ripple effect that Dragon Ball has. We're gonna start seeing it a lot more, right? Like I feel like that young weeby age is getting to the age where they're starting to create and everything, so we might start seeing it more. But man, you just cannot deny all the stuff that Toriyama has influenced throughout his entire life. I know Timon is Brazilian too, but we weren't talking about Timon being Brazilian. We were talking about you being Brazilian and having the most Brazilian moment of your entire life. It would have only been more perfect if like a soccer ball came in through the door and just like bounced around your room for a second. Let's see. Corey says, I never got into Dragon Ball Z, but I did watch some of it and it's awesome. Oh man. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fanboy, so my first immediate reaction is like, go watch, you're gonna love it. And I do say that, but I also acknowledge that maybe Dragon Ball is not for everybody, anime is not for everybody. And that's one of the cool things is like, he's branched out into so many different other mediums. Like, go play Chrono Trigger, go play the Dragon Quest games. Those were all peak Toriyama as well. So there's something for everyone, essentially, to love with Toriyama. So even if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, I think you're still able to acknowledge his contributions, his work, sort of what he did for everybody. Like, how many, 10-year-olds run around going, yeah, Kamehameha. I know I freaking did. Let's see. Timon says Tezuka maybe akin to Tex Avery in the US, maybe. I would actually say, in terms of comparison, that's a really good one, Timon. I would put Tezuka and Tex on the same level. I don't remember off the top of my head if Tezuka was an animator himself. I want to say he was, but regardless, sort of just that establishing... when you look at sort of the aesthetics of Western animation and media and Japanese entertainment and media and stuff, so at least when it comes to like drawn stuff or like the super fictional, like it's very, you can definitely point to like Tezuka as like Astro Boy. That's where Japan got their inspiration. And then Avery for all of us. Like even the muscle bound, like for example, like when we read comic books and we see the Rob Liefeld level of Superman, where his like every single muscle is as big as a bus, right? That has its roots back in Tex Avery too, where like when the big character, or like when a character went to go fight or whatever, wanted to look tough, he would go boom and like beef himself up and walk like that, like, and that communicates power, and that got stuck in the mind of the people, and that's where we were. So yeah, I think that's a really good comparison, Timon. I really like that one. Ravul says, what about the influence of Akira Kurosawa? That's a completely different like level of ballpark. It's sort of like I don't really know a good Western comparison that is so eternally influential as Akira Kurosawa, because those films are from like the 40s, the 50s, and I don't really know what American director or like American works are truly referenced and gone back to all and like match up to modern cinema like techniques. So to me, Kurosawa is like he's another echelon, because he's influenced movies, and that influenced TV and like everything else. So I think Kurosawa's got a slight edge over Toriyama, but I think if you went and you asked like the average person on the street, is your life more influenced? Like, have you noticed more influence in your media from Dragon Ball or Kurosawa? Most people don't know Kurosawa's work. They just know he exists. They know he was a Japanese director who likes samurais. So they're going to go Dragon Ball, and for good reason. But I just think they're in two separate realms right now. And maybe that can change. Again, like this requires genuine, like I need like, remember, you know how you see in like history, like stories and stuff, the colleges or the big tavern halls where everybody gathers around and they just talk and debate and they go, yes, nay, nay. That's what I need to like get to this decision. Cause I have my leanings, but I don't know if I'm confident enough in those leanings. Wolf says, watch the Funimation dub, best version according to Danny. Look, I know people don't like the dubs, and the Funimation one is the worst of them so far. But I like I like the dub voices. And I fully admit that's because I grew up with them as my voices, like Sean Schemmel, Chris Sabat. They're pretty like dumb human beings, especially with the way they handle themselves on social media and stuff. But I can't deny that when I hear Goku powering up, that's the Goku I hear. Even though Nosawa's like the queen, she like no disrespect. It's just my Goku's Schemmel. So yeah, Eccentric Banana, what's going on, buddy? So Eccentric says, long live DBZ. I still go, yeah, Kamehameha. Oh man, I mean, let's be honest, guys. And you know what? I am specifically talking to the guys because what I'm about to bring up sort of plays on that same phenomenon as like when we're walking through the park or a forest and we find a stick and we just pick it up and we start using it as like a sword or whatever, and we just pretend, because no matter how old you are, when you're a guy, like that's what you do. So, like if anybody goes to the beach here, I'm not sure I don't know if anybody here is like beach adjacent. Like I used to be back in San Diego, but like I remember standing in the waves at just a couple years ago, probably like right before the pandemic. And, when the wave crashes over you and blasts through, I stand there and go, and you just feel it all the time. Like how could you absolutely not? It's just one of those like instinctual things that feel right. And you just, like it speaks to like a primal fantasy in young boys, and it's fantastic without having to message at them or have a moral at the end of every story. It's very, that's obviously more of the shonen production like side than the American production side, because a lot of those like messages that have to be in everything in cartoons, and I don't mean like modern day, I mean like back when we had like PSAs and everything in them, like that was sort of the compromise you had to do to get it made, because why are we giving money to this stupid child thing, yada yada yada. Again, art, comic books, video games, all that stuff, for as gangbusters as they might do business here in America, they are not respected as like true art forms or whatever by anybody who lives here. And it's a real disgrace. Animation, just anything that's not hoity-toity Oscar bait fart noise is looked down upon, even by the people who don't like that hoity-toity fart noise. So it's a bummer, but it is where it is. Shinkai says, yeah, my Goku is Masako. Most people's are. I get into this fight with Josh. Well, not fight, but we debate over it like every week, because he loves Masako and I love Sean. And so we just like, we always just like, it's not real arguments. It's always just like, shut up, get out of here. Like, of course he's the best one. Listen to this yell. Stuff like that. So I understand love for Masako, but right there, like I'm with Wolf. I'm right there with you on the voices. I can watch some anime with subs, but DBZ is not one of them. I can't do DBZ in subs or in subs. I don't know why. It just, I watch literally everything else in subtitles. I watch American stuff, English stuff with subtitles, because because honestly, the reason is because sound mixing is so dog shit these days that I cannot hear anything in these movies anymore or these TV shows. So if I want to follow the damn plot, I have to put on the subtitles. Otherwise, I miss like giant plot points, because for some reason you got to have the like overpowering everything. That's right. I'm looking at you, Nolan. Eccentric says, I still do the Naruto run. Whoa, that was a bad voice crack. Look at that. We are totally going back to being teenagers. So if you don't do like the Naruto run and you watch Naruto, if you still don't do it in like some of your more private moments or bored moments, you're a liar. Everybody does it. I do it for fun when I'm like standing in the backyard. I run a couple yards and go, that was stupid, and then go on with my day. Let's see. Yeah, Eccentric's on our side. Yes, Team Dub. It's just something about them all delivers. It's just preference, right? We can't really explain it. It's probably because we grew up with them, but it's preference. And yeah, I love the English dub voices. Shinkai said, my bad. I guess I should have clarified. Masako X, the DBZ abridged voice actor. That's a good one too. I don't really remember it off the top of my head as well as I do Sean and Masao, because I wasn't that big of a fan of the abridged stuff. Not because it wasn't good, just sometimes there are those things that come out that's completely like go under your radar for no real reason. It's just, it's there. I like that. There it goes. I don't know. It's just life. I just never got to, I never got into it. And then nowadays I've heard that whatever their current output is not the greatest. So, when you hear that, it makes you like not want to go back to the beginning and engage with all of the fun stuff. For example, do you guys remember the show How I Met Your Mother, right? The sitcom. Everybody, like, I know I'm asking such a dumb question because it was such a big show, but How I Met Your Mother, the entire plot, how does, Ted meet these kids' mother, yada, yada, yada. I loved that show when it was airing. Like, when I was in school, I would watch it all the time. It was one of my background noise shows. My best friend at the time and I, like, we would watch it in our idle moments, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, I loved that show. And then the series finale happened where it's just this really stupid plot twist and really just like, so I'm not going to get like into all of it, but it's sort of like the exact definition of like appealing to shippers, because so many people were like, oh, Ted and Robin should get together. Like, that's who we wanted from the very beginning. Why didn't you do that? That the writers went, okay, let's listen to that and write this really terrible cancer ending for Ted's wife. And it was so bad. I felt the ending was so bad and so legitimately insulting that I can't even go back and watch episodes from like the good seasons anymore, because I know what's coming. It's the same way I feel with Star Wars. It's really hard for me to go back to A New Hope or Episode 1 or The Clone Wars and I mean like Gennady Tartakovsky's Clone Wars and stuff. Like, I can't go back to these because I know what's coming and I know what franchise it's a part of. And it's so sad because I think I hate Star Wars, right? After loving it so much as a kid and growing up, like, I hate it and I can't stand it. Like, that's why one of the main rules I made for this channel is that I am not going to talk about like Star Wars news. Like, I'm not going to talk about castings. I'm not going to talk about lawsuits. I'm not going to talk about all that, because that does not spark joy within me. Star Wars is not joyful. It's depressing. Like, Star Wars now is like watching your buddy who you grew up with and you had the best of times and you have all these memories with, and you thought like, oh, you're gonna be the best man at my wedding, and you're gonna be the uncle to my kids and all this stuff, and you just watch them like throw their life away to like hard drugs and they don't ever get over it. But every so often they like come to your house and like, look, man, I'm clean, I did it. And then you find him in like your bathroom, like shooting up halfway through whatever party you're having. Like, that's what Star Wars is now. And it's sad to watch, and you wish it was different, but it's probably not going to change anymore. So do you really want to hang out with them right now? Not really. Corey says, that's why I love that Justified had a great, perfect ending. I can enjoy the original run. I fortunately can skip Justified, City Primeval. Dude, Corey, I love Justified. Like, that first season, like, or not season, but like, I guess you just call it Justified, the first series. That shit rules. Like, it's so good. And that's sort of like, Justified is the same high I keep chasing when I watch shows like True Detective or like Yellowstone and stuff. Like, I want that like Justified cowboy justice weird, like all this stuff. But yeah, City Primeval, I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that series. That City Primeval just felt like one of those, it honestly felt like we were back in the 90s where it's like, what do we do with our like Batman now? Throw them against dinosaurs, throw them against aliens, throw them against goo monsters. Like, I don't know, throw it at the wall. Like, that's what it felt like. And it's just, yeah, I would, if anybody here hasn't watched Justified, I completely recommend skipping over it. Or, I mean, City Primeval. Watch Justified, skip City Primeval. Also, before I switch to the quick video game topic, have you guys seen Shogun? Holy shit, dude. I just watched the first episode of this show with my, like, one of my best friends. I am hooked. Basically, it's an FX, like, period piece drama about, like, Dutch pirates who have accidentally sailed into feudal Japan, and, like, Christianity is just getting spread, and the Protestants and the Catholics are at war with each. It's just so good. Like, it's like, I don't know, I'm a dork for historical stuff, just to sort of see a window into like what that time period was like before diplomacy was established, or you could actually communicate with people. It is so damn good. And yeah, like, I've only watched the first episode, and right, like, as soon as my friend and I ended it, I was like, we have 2 more episodes. They're an hour long. I know it's 1:00 in the morning. Do you want to keep going? And he's like, I have to go to work tomorrow. Like I have to sleep, but we will watch this weekend. So like, just, yeah, quick TV recommendation. If you like history, if you like drama, if you like, yeah, just any of that sort of stuff, check out Shogun. You will genuinely not be disappointed. It is so, it's good. And again, I know I'm speaking off of the first episode. I've heard some of my friends have criticized certain things about it, yada, yada, yada. But at least from the jump with this first episode, and this is going, like, I didn't know anything about this show, right? My friend was just like, hey, do you want to watch this with me? I know you like, history in Japan and stuff. And I was like, sure, why not? Blown away. So that's my first episode recommendation, is if you're starving for something to watch, Shogun every single day. Corey says, Justified is my favorite show. It was the first show I watched beginning to end when it aired, and I'm the same. Justified spoiled me. Too high standards for new shows. Dude, right? Like, after Justified, I sort of was in this attitude, Corey, after Justified, where I was like, oh, we are hitting this stride. Like, we got, like, Justified, we've got Mad Men, Justified, Breaking Bad, like, all of this shit is, and now we've got, like, Justified bringing in the sort of, like, lawman, like, I don't even want to call it, like, cop drama, but, like, law drama, if you will, like frontier law drama. And I was just like, we are gonna eat so good from here on out. Like, TV is good now. Like, wow. And then everything just immediately went, oh, we all need streaming service shows. Oh, we're going to make live action adaptations of everything. And everything just went downhill so fast. Like, I don't know if anybody here is a True Detective fan. I mentioned it a couple minutes ago, but those first couple seasons of True Detective, that's my shit. Like, the David Lynchian weird strangeness, the drama of the police procedural, like the detective work, all of that. But then we got season 4, and it's kind of garbage. There's some things I like in it, like the setting, but season 4 is just garbage. And it's just like, man, we were there, and now we like went over and we fell off the cliff. I mean, that's what the Sopranos creator literally came out like a month ago and was like, yeah, like prestige TV is dead because nobody wants to take risks or tell these big stories anymore. He said, like, straight up, I get notes from executives and studios going, we think that this plot is too intricate. We think that this is too deep for viewers. Can you scale that back? Can you not do that? And it's just like, man, the shows we're talking about right now, like, it would have been a miracle had they been made like under these conditions. You know what I mean? Not like now or whatever, but like if these conditions were, if we were so afraid of, oh, regular viewers might lose the plot. It's just like, stop treating everybody so stupid. I think that's the big problem, is that so many companies and entities and whatever, especially like the upper level boardrooms, they presume everybody's a moron. They presume lowest common denominator. We got to make sure that's who we hit. When like that's insulting, and people are generally smarter than you give them credit for. That's why I've been having this internal debate with myself over the past couple of weeks over, obviously I'm the main writer for Bounding Into Comics right now, being the editor-in-chief and all. So my work is sort of the one that always gets out there. And thanks to just who I am and my academic background and all that fun stuff, I have a really big vocabulary, and I tend to use a lot of metaphor and a lot of big words. And over these past few weeks, I've been asking myself, like, is this bad? Is my message being lost on readers because I'm using too big of words or turns of phrases that they might not know? And I've sort of come to the conclusion that, well, like, yeah, there were instances where I definitely was, and I've been catching myself and rewriting them. But also, like, I would rather give you the benefit of the doubt of being smart rather than give you the benefit of the doubt of being a moron. At least in, like, if I'm trying to appeal to you, if I'm trying to be respectful of you, that's how I want to approach things. And I think that's sort of something we need to bring back to the entertainment sphere, because, again, all the people in charge of this stuff, they just think they're better than you. They just legitimately think like, oh, I'm in Hollywood. I have a degree. I automatically know better than you. And this is coming from somebody who grew up on the West Coast and has a degree in nothing. Like, I have an English degree. You can't get more liberally hoity-toity fart huffing than that. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. Dante's here. What's going on, buddy? We were just talking about you a little while ago. We were talking about our Stanley Toriyama talk a little earlier. Andrew says, I've heard Shogun is legit, 1,000%. Like, I will host a watch party in your server if I have to, to just make sure more people watch this show. Corey says, yeah, very well acted and gives me a Ghost of Tsushima vibe. Definitely gives me that Ghost of Tsushima vibe. Makes me really excited that that game is coming to PC, like, next month, I think, with like a couple new features. I never got to play it the first time around because I'm so, you guys all know this, I'm sure, unless you're a new viewer here, but I'm so burned by like Sony cinematic type of games that I see even the hint of it and I'm just like, no thanks. Don't want it. I don't want your Uncharted. I don't want your Last of Us. Get the hell away from me. But as time has gone on, I've learned it's more than that. So yeah, I'm willing to check it out. And then like you said, Corey, after watching Shogun, I'm like, how do I get my slicing on? Like, how do I show great honor? Dante says, I'm so far behind, just now starting season 3 of Rising of the Shield Hero. Oh, but isn't that done? Like, that means you just get to like blitz through it sort of all at once on your own time. I'm actually not against that. That's sort of how I engage with a lot of television nowadays. I just wait for the season to end and then I can watch it on my own time, whether that's 2 episodes at a time, 4 episodes at a time, so on and so forth. So you're not behind at all. You're still on the curve. Yes, Corey, Justified definitely way better than Yellowstone. Timon agrees with that. Dante says he's never seen it. Definitely go see it. I think you would like it. Like genuinely, knowing you, like I would imagine you would get sort of like that, oh fuck yeah, like sort of like pop out of it, right? Like, yeah, good. Like, so I think you would definitely like it, Dante. Snowfall was a good show. Oh, is that the drug dealing one, right? The cocaine one? I've heard that's good. I've never watched it. I remember when I left LA like 4 years ago, there were a bunch of billboards for that show like coming out, I guess. And I remember seeing them all the time. I've never seen it. So yeah, if that is a good show, let me know. Caffeinated Wolf said, if it's a period piece, it shouldn't be anything like Ghost of Tsushima. In what sense? I genuinely don't know. As far as I knew, Ghost of Tsushima was very heavily, like, obviously it's video gamified, but it also was very, like, heavily researched with Japanese history and stuff, to the point where those guys, like, Sucker Punch, have been made official ambassadors to the world for the island of Tsushima, because they were just like, you nailed this so hard, like, you did it so good. And that's sort of, like, a quick aside, the Ghost of Tsushima lends credence to my theory that the best media about like a group or a nation or whatever is made by people outside of it who have a love for it, right? So for example, look at Ghost of Tsushima, incredible Japanese game, more like historically accurate than a lot of Japanese games, and it was made by a completely American studio. And then you know, flip the coin, look at Metal Gear Solid, completely perfect take on America's war complex, rising AI, power struggles, all that stuff that we deal with over here, but it's by a completely Japanese team and they completely nail it, right? So to me, it's sort of like when you're not in that group, you sort of have this sort mentality of like, I need to make sure that I know everything, that I'm doing this, because they are going to like hold me to the flame. But if you're in that group, I feel you probably get the mentality of, oh, I'm already here. I do know what I'm talking about. I'm a member of the group, so we're just going to do it. And so, yeah, more foreign game, more games made by outgroups about groups. I don't know how to specifically word that, but you guys know what I mean. More of those. Let's see. Dante says, I'm 3 episodes into season 2 of Twin Peaks. Tried to watch it years ago, but tapped out after 6 episodes. Such a slow burner. Look, I'll be honest with you. I love Twin Peaks to the death, right? Like that is literally my kind of spooky, esoteric, what is real, high strangeness shit. I live for that. But Twin Peaks is a very, very, very slow burn. And unfortunately, due to like production issues, it also gets like crammed at the end. Overall, it's a good experience, but I recommend after you're done with it, you sort of just, hit up Wikipedia and read the production history and all the decisions that had to be made. And you'll be like, oh my God, this could have been so much better. Like, holy crap. And I'm just like a big David Lynch fan in general. Like, you throw him onto anything, and I'm like, yeah. Like, if anybody here saw Fabelmans, the Steven Spielberg like semi biopic thing, I forget which director Lynch plays, but he has a cameo in that movie as sort of the director that inspires Steven Spielberg to become like a filmmaker. And it's just like a really good crotchety performance. I don't know. I love David Lynch. I love his creative outlook. So yeah, I hope you stick with Twin Peaks. I think the once you get closer to unraveling it all, Dante, you specifically will like it. I think that's where it's going to hit like your jam. But I definitely hear the complaint about it being a slow burn. Dante also says the greatest show of all time is still The Twilight Zone. Oh, Twilight Zone. I mean, come on, man. Did you see Lucy try to work that chocolate machine? That is the greatest moment ever put to screen, and it will never be topped. Shinkai says, when it comes to live-action detective police-like shows, for me it's Psych, Elementary, and Deception. Why did it only get one season? Right, like, I love those kind of shows, Shinkai. I know they're really dumb. I know they're very basic, and I know when it comes to things like the CSIs and the Law and Orders, they do not depict the justice system well at all. Word of advice that I'm sure everybody knows here, two things. One, if you're ever in trouble, like with the law, your only words, I want my lawyer. You say nothing else, or I want a lawyer. Nothing else. Just even if you are completely innocent and they just take you in for questioning, I want my lawyer. Two, do not take your like rights advice from Law and Order shows, because they will present you with a very distorted like version of how things are supposed to go down. And if you know the law, you can watch and be like, this is really stupid. Are you kidding me? But I can watch it in the sense where I'm like, this is just like popcorn entertainment, right? Like, oh yeah, of course they're going to catch the bad guy by collecting his DNA that way. Like, that's not completely illegal or anything. Popcorn, right? So, but then yeah, like I like those goofier ones. Elementary was fun. Psych was fun. Justified is more serious than those, right? Like it is full bore drama. Like you're not going to go in and be laughing at Gus and Spencer, right? Like you're going to go and be like, holy shit. So that's why I'm like, I don't want to call a show like Justified a police procedural, because it's not. I use that term specifically for shows like NCIS, Blue Bloods, Law and Order, where they hit all those very specific beats, right? Like the case, and then false victim or false, not victim, like we got the wrong guy, then we find the right guy, but then the right guy escapes, and then we go here, down, like that stuff. I consider police procedurals. For me, Justified's a drama. It just deals with a lawman, right? Like a cowboy sheriff. So that's my only. Otherwise, I'm right there with you, Shinkai. Let's see. Dante says, I be spitting those metaphors, axioms, and even a few aphorisms. Like, I do. And it's like, I have to catch myself sometimes, because I'm like, I'm getting way too flowery for my own good. People are going to, like, tune out immediately. Tehillim says, I'd like to watch the Shogun series too. Definitely recommend you do. Again, it's a live action drama, so I know it's not anime, which is what you and I typically indulge in, Tehillim, but still very, very, very good. Oh yeah, and then Tehillim says Ninja Kamui is another anime I want to watch. Watch it. It is good. Like I will recommend that like wholeheartedly. Dante says, yeah, Snowfall's the one about the rise of crack in South Central. I want more content like The Northman. I still have to see that movie. I've really wanted to see it. I just have not had the time. Isn't it like nearly 3 hours long? That's a commitment at my age, at my old age of, how old am I? 33. I always have to do the like year subtraction thing, because I don't know anymore. It doesn't matter once you pass like 25 when you can rent cars. Now like you can do everything. So the world's your oyster. Let's see. Yeah, 2.5 hours, says Dante. Dante says David Lynch is hit or miss, but Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, and Lost Highway are great movies. Yeah, again, not for everybody. He's just my personal like favorite director, creator sort of person, right? It's like there's David Lynch in movies, and there's like Grant Morrison in comic books. Then there's Hideo Kojima in video games. Like those are like the auteurs that I sort of gravitate to in my media, like my mediums of choice. Farscape needs more seasons. It does, although I don't really want any revivals nowadays of any shows because we know what the writing is going to be like. May I point you to Avatar: The Last Airbender? May I point you to uh, Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Just like all of this stuff, right? Like we know what scripts would read. uh, Let's see. Society Review says, this isn't Tremors. No, but I'm going to try and make it over there. I know like last week I went 4 hours because there was just so much to talk about with Avatar, but I want to watch Tremors. It needs to be watched. It's been so long since it's been on the wheel and we finally landed on it. So don't worry. I'm going to try and rein this stream in. And then, yep, I am about as flowery as Andrew expects. That's not even true. You know that. You expect me to be far more flowery. Let's be completely honest, Andrew. And then, yeah, Andrew says, I try to forget you love Grant. Again, I just like what I like in my sort of fiction in this sense is like, I love like David Lynch, like the weird, the esoteric, the stuff that plays with reality and goes really weird and goofy. But like we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, Andrew, days ago, I don't know, we talk like every day. I have no idea when our conversations happen, but there is such thing as like too much, like Morrison going full Morrison, and at those times I can definitely go like, oh, all right, we're going way too hard here. Like the what was it, I brought this up to you when we were talking, and I was like, oh, his Green Lantern run with Liam Sharp from like a couple years ago when it was like his big return to DC. He's like, okay, I'll come back for one last story as long as I have like full creative reign, right? And they gave it to him, and it just got unwieldy. And like, I love Grant, but I was just like, I don't think I even finished it because I'm just like, this is too, like, you're going way too wild over here. So yeah, there is such thing as a Grant being too Grant. Let's see. Yeah, no, Timon, I don't want people to wreck Farscape. I want them to leave it alone. I want it to be good. I want only touch these old shows to give them 4K like Blu-ray touch-ups and then let them out. And then don't edit anything, don't do anything, just give us nice presentation, and that's all we ask for. I would love to see Farscape in 4K. Like, let's just get to it. Yeah, Dante says his old stuff was good. Animal Man, Doom Patrol. Right, like that stuff is good. Like I love all that stuff. But that's also like Grant not going full Grant yet. As much as I love Grant, like I'll also admit that the what was it? A lot of the resolution of Final Crisis gets a little bit up his own butt with the whole dream machine and the whistle note of creation and stuff. Like it gets super just like, now you're trying too hard, Grant. Like you're not being inspired, you're trying to force it. And yeah, so early stuff always great. As he gets later on, there are definitely those moments where you're like, we need to roll it back just a tiny little bit. Oh, Dante, you didn't like his Batman run? I thought it was an example of his like getting too Grant for his own good, but I also really liked it. I thought it did some really fun stuff. Again, I liked that deep connection to all the past DC lore that he was making. Like that's one thing I love about Grant is that he will go back to like a random obscure issue or like one panel from like what was it? All Flash Comics Volume 1, issue number 17. Here's one panel where Jay Garrick was talking to somebody or like, you know, a gunman who wanted to shoot him, and Jay like stops the bullet and goes away. Grant will bring that guy back and weave him into the story in a way that makes sense, where you're just like, whoa, I can't believe it. That's such a good like pull. So there's definitely that to it. And then, yeah, Andrew, like his entire Green Lantern and X-Men runs. I can't remember, what was his Green Lantern run? Are you talking about the Liam Sharp one? Because I feel like he did another one outside of that. Because but yeah, his X-Men run does also get very, very unwieldy. I mean, we went over that, I think like last week with the Cassandra Nova stuff, like psychically aborted fetus miscarried and then exists as cells on a sewer wall and clumps itself together to make a human thought form ghost of Professor Xavier from the Shi'ar culture. Like, very, very unwieldy. Very, very, like, out there. It's all right. There's some stuff I like from it. I like Zorn. I liked the original Zorn, where he was just like a mutant with like the black hole in the middle of his head. I liked Beak and Angel and that whole storyline. And yeah, that's about all I can remember that is good from that X-Men run. That run also has the Frank Quitely art, which hit or miss for me, honestly. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I feel like in X-Men it didn't. But like in Superman, All-Star Superman, it's fantastic. But there, yeah, I think that was a miss for me. Oh, Dante, really? Batman Incorporated is what you think is too much Grant. See, I think of all that Batman run, his Incorporated stuff is the least Granty Grant stuff of all of that run, right? That's really interesting. I'd love to probe your mind on that one. The Jar Jar Abrams lens flare obsession. Oh my God. Why are we like, isn't that everybody's favorite director, right? Like, that's your favorite visual style. Just everything. Once you notice it, it's so bad. Like, I was watching Star Trek a couple weeks ago and I'm just like, man, every shot does not need a lens flare. Andrew says brief flash run was also solid. Final Crisis was a bit much. Yeah, so like I agree with that. And then again, that's also like relatively early Morrison with that flash run, which is also like, it's such a weird, I've never understood where that run even technically exists or how to collect it. DC doesn't even know, because they always pull it out of the overall volume 2 run, because it's like the only part that's not done by Wade at any point. So I really like that flash run. I'm just always confused over like its placement. Like, what are we doing here? Final Crisis a bit much. I love the Invincibles, Dante. Like, that is, the Invisibles is literally my, like, if you go read the Invisibles, that's like my worldview on stuff. Like, I love the Invisibles. Everything is just like put to paper right there. It's so good. Ben Browder and Claudia Black in Farscape or Stargate? I gotta go Stargate, and that's probably mostly just because I like Stargate more. Like, I really like Stargate, and I actually am a little like, yeah. So I'm gonna give it to Stargate on that one. I was gonna start talking about like the reboots and stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really like. There's so much to talk about with the Farscape or the Stargate reboot stuff that I'm just like, that's a whole bounding stream we can do for that one. I'll never forgive him for killing Psylocke and trying to kill Damian Wayne. I mean, he made Damian Wayne. I think he's allowed to take him out, right? Like, what's that old thing? The, I brought you into this world and I can take you out. So, let's see. Yeah, Andrew says, not a fan of Batman Inc. at all. Morrison's run is right between Wade volume 6 and 7. No, like, I know, like, literally where it places in like, chronological release timeline and stuff, but the way it's collected is, it always just feels black sheeped out, and I don't ever really get it per se, right? Because the thing they do with that Flash Volume 2 run is that they market it as Mark Waid's The Flash run, and it's like, you don't necessarily need to do that. You can just say The Flash Volume 2, and then you can include all of that stuff. It just feels so unnecessary to me, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. And I like Morrison's JLA run. I don't like the enemies he made for Rock of Obsidian or Rock of Ages or whatever it was called. They're generally a little too goofy, a little too middle schooler trying to draw a superhero in his free time. So that was a little bad, but like the writing is great. The plot line was great. I liked all of that stuff. And then Grant's Wonder Woman, which one was that? I can't even remember. Was that New 52 Wonder Woman? No, that was Rucka. Oh, Morrison wrote Earth 1 Wonder, or Earth 3? Earth 2? Whatever that line is that DC sometimes does and sometimes doesn't, that's supposed to be like their ultimate line. I think it's Earth 1, right? Earth 2? Year 1? Is it Year 1? No, right? Let's see. Wonder Woman Year 1. Is that what it is? No, see, that's the one. That's the one by Rucka. That's the name of the arc from the beginning of the New 52, which is actually pretty good. I liked that run of the Rucka Chang run from New 52. Like, I thought that was a really good run. Thank you, Andrew. I knew you would get my back. Earth One, yeah, yeah. It is weak. The book is really carried a lot by the Dodsons art on Wonder Woman because they can draw pretty ladies, and Wonder Woman is a pretty lady. It was fine. The other entries in that line are way better, and it was definitely weak. It was one of those ones where I read it and I was just like, all right, if we get another, fine. If we don't, fine. Tehillim says, Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. Plus, love his team up with John Kent, not the imposter one running around in DC at the moment. Oh, of course not. We don't count post Jor-El hangout, Infinite Crisis, Injustice John Kent. We don't talk about him. It's Super Sons or bust here, right? Always. Where's my water? Always has been. And then Tehillim, yeah, that's your favorite Robin. My favorite Robin will always be Tim, probably, but that's because I like Dick as Nightwing more than I like him as a Robin. But I like Tim as a Robin. That's my Robin. Tehillim says Joshua Williamson really can't write Damian Wayne well. So with Williamson, I think he is really, really talented. I did like a lot of his stuff on like The Flash, but I'm starting to get this feeling that they're relying on him too much and he's getting run ragged. And that's why his Damian is so weird. Because, yeah, they turned Damian from like, what's the right way to describe Damian? The original Damian was sort of like that, I'm better than you and I know it and I can prove it right now because I can kill you, pardon me, 5 different ways before I end the sentence, right? He almost killed me right there. And people would put him in his place and he'd do his little... Like, that's what he was supposed to be. Nowadays, he's like that snarky kids cartoon character who's like, not me. Like, and then whatever. Like, it's so... I don't like current Damian Wayne. And then you have the whole female Hush storyline going on right now. And it's all over the place. It's all stupid. I am not a big fan of current Damian Wayne. Damian is also my favorite, says Dante, mostly because Dick is better as Nightwing and everyone else is in their right place. Definitely get that. I just feel like I hate that they don't let Tim be Red Robin, his identity from Kingdom Come, where he gets that black cowl, because they just... because they don't let him like grow, he's always just sort of like Robin 2 to Damian nowadays, and they just don't know what to do with this character. Remember like a couple years ago when they gave him that awful or brown costume? That shit was gross. Let me see if I can even bring that up. Tim Drake brown costume. Muted? When did I get muted? I must have accidentally muted myself a second ago when I was diddling over here. Thank you guys for catching that. I don't know how long it was that I was muted, but so the brown costume. That's right, Andrew. I totally forgot that his name at the time was freaking Drake. Like, how stupid was that? But yeah, let's take a look at that costume real quick. Let's see. Let me make sure that the window is correct. What? Why aren't you letting me? I hate the internet sometimes. There it is. Okay. Let's dilly-dally. Let's switch over to our fun talk layout, right? Yeah. So do you guys remember this? Like, this costume is so bad. And yeah, he tried to go by Drake at the time, and it's just, who uses brown as the primary color for your superhero suit, right? Wolverine uses it in his iconic one as like a highlight color compared to the yellow. So they reversed it on here, and it did not work. And of course, this is that really bad like Bendis era Young Justice stuff. You've got that stupid Teen Lantern there, Jenny Six Shooter, who was actually like the only fun character because she was just a cowgirl. Like that was literally it. But yeah, so absolutely awful costume. Like I genuinely do not like this one. Yeah, to Hillam, under Bendis. This is Bendis level. And then agreed, Andrew. Like it is so bad. I don't remember off the top of my head because as soon as I saw this, like I sort of just immediately tuned out Tim Drake. I was just like, I'm done with you. I don't give a shit about you right now. But I'm pretty sure this costume only lasted like maybe a month or two before editorial was like, okay, yeah, get him out of that. Like nobody really wants that. And then Andrew says Bendis was cancer to DC. Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about it a couple times, but the man didn't contribute anything. All he stood to do was run roughshod over some of our favorite comics. I mean, putting him on Young Justice was an insult to everybody who loved Young Justice. And like I am them. I am one of those people, right? I loved Young Justice as a kid. I still love it now. It's still a really fun read. Like it is a fun comic book. That is all. It doesn't have to tell you a really deep message. It doesn't connect into some overarching crisis. It is just, here are the adventures of these kids. Have at it. And it's good. So just to hear like, oh boy, they're bringing them back. And we're getting Bart Impulse back. And we're getting Connor Superboy. Sweet. Like I'm in for that. And then they just shat completely all over them. Turn them into like Bendis mouthpieces. And did you like Naomi? Now you can have a whole team of Naomis. And that was also a thing too. He made Naomi and then they were like, oh yeah, now Naomi's on the Justice League. Why? Like shut the fuck up. I hate when they do that, when it's things like, here's Kamala Khan, she's on the Avengers now. Here's Miles, he's an Avengers now. It's like, why are you, like, one, they're teenagers. You should not be putting teenagers in like danger like that. You are adults. You know better than this. You like send them home. But second, you're putting somebody who like maybe has 6 months of experience against like robbers onto the premier teams for saving the world, for fighting Brainiacs, for fighting Thanoses. Where does it make sense at all? Even if they have the power, which was Superman's reasoning for putting Naomi on the Justice League. Like, she is powerful and we'll teach her. It's like, great, teach her first. She can't just get membership. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Oh man, I don't know about that, Andrew. Andrew says, arguably worse than King if you're a bigger Superman fan than Flash. I genuinely don't know. I mean, King really messed with Superman in Heroes in Crisis, right? But King just altogether, in general, his work... because here's how I sort of see it, right? I hear Bendis is on a book and I roll my eyes and I go, oh, that's going to be so full of Bendis. Like, that's going to be a Bendis book. You know what's coming. I don't want to read it. That's going to be bad. I hear Tom King's on a book and I just go, holy shit. Are you ready for the like most pretentious, self-aggrandizing drivel that you will probably ever read? Are you ready for every single character to be written out of context, out of character, and like a newborn child? Because that's what you're going to get with a Tom King book. It's more like, I think that's the right way to put it. A Bendis book announcement makes me go, is frustrating, but ultimately I can wave it off and go, whatever, your funeral. A Tom King announcement is like despair inducing. It makes me go, holy shit. Like, why? Why are we here for this? Again, that's why he's an architect of Gunn's upcoming DCU, right? I have no faith in it from that alone. And I know a lot of people say, oh, he's only on Supergirl because they're using a Supergirl run as inspiration. Snyder has said, he's had input on all of this. He is an architect of the DCU, whatever they're calling it now. So Tom King, I cannot with Tom King. It's legitimate despair inducing. But see, that's why the qualifier is there. I personally think King is worse, but I can see a massive Supes fan hating Bendis more. So I will disagree. While I think Bendis did a lot of stupid stuff with like John Kent and everything, the way he handled Superman was not necessarily bad. The character himself was not bad. What he did to John and all of that stuff, that is completely terrible. And if you're a John fan, then yeah, you probably dislike Bendis a lot more than King. I mean, we have Tehillim in here, and he's our Super Sons guy. He's always been a Super Sons fan, and he, for lack of a better term, he hates all of the shit that's gone down under Bendis's watch, right? So, I think if you're talking specifically what he did to John Kent, that ruins it more. What am I trying to say here? When it comes to Superman himself, I'm giving Bendis sort of the like, if these were the cards he was playing with, he at least played, I don't like the hand he was playing. I don't like the game he was playing. But at least, that move he made for Superman wasn't egregious and it was fine, right? It didn't upend the table. It didn't reshuffle the deck or anything. It just went along. So that's why, like, with Superman specifically, I think that differentiator has to be made. Shinkai says, what the heck is that costume? A bad idea. It's a very, very, very bad idea. Tehillim says, the Teen Lantern here isn't Bendis' idea. It's originally Patrick Gleason. I know. Yeah, no, you're right, Tehillim. I do know that it's a Gleason creation, but Bendis grabbed it for Young Justice. Like, he was like, I want to use that for Young Justice. Bring her over here. Completely dumb concept nonetheless. Completely bad book as a result. Bendis created a whole new timeline. Bendis did a lot of bullshit. just DC bullshit. And I think he's working in their TV divisions now. He's at least off the comic books, so at least we can at least sigh a slight sigh of relief. Andrew says Super Sons was DC's best book during Tomasi's run, and I will die on that hill. I think we're all dying there with you. That book was legitimately fucking good. Like, it was surprising. Like, when Rebirth happened, and that was the book of Rebirth, easy, hands down. And then for years, that was probably their best book until the John Kent stuff started, and they had to throw all of those plans in the toilet for whatever we're doing nowadays, where, oh, my name's John Kent. I found myself in the Injustice universe. Oh, look, it's Superman. How do we solve him being a bad guy? I'm going to give him a hug. All right, move on. Pardon me. I'm also slightly insulted by what they're doing now with John. I believe it's Tom Taylor doing it. Goodness. Don't know why I'm so burpy. But now they recently, I don't know if he still has them, but Taylor, like last year, gave John Superman's electric powers, like his blue-red electric powers. And I like that. Like, I like that look for Superman. I liked that period for Superman, knowing it was temporary. I don't think it's a good change for him, but I recently went back and read the entire run, all issues of Blue-Red Superman. Pretty fun. Like, I had a lot of fun with it, so I like those costumes. I like those powers. I think things can be done with them. I don't want them to go to John because it's a waste. It's such a cool thing that you're wasting on a bad character who will genuinely be retconned out of existence within the next decade, or at least this form. Like, they'll bring back Young John is what I'm trying to say. Andrew says, I wanted to believe in Young Justice when it came back, and for the first 3 issues, I was cautiously hopeful, and those hopes went out the window really fast. I don't even know how you lasted 3. I got through 1, and I was just like, I know. It was sort of like instinct, right? Like, I know what's happening. I know what you're gonna do, Bendis. I've seen this shit before. You fool me once, can't get fooled again. Tehillim says, I personally enjoy Bendis independent comics over mainstream. I can't even remember his indie comics at this point. I know that I very much enjoyed Powers back in the day. Alias was really good. Like, I genuinely like Bendis probably like pre Ultimatum, end of that, like, first official incarnation of the Ultimate Universe, right? So probably like everything pre-2010 Bendis I really like. And yeah, I couldn't even tell you anything after that because I just got so over his really, really bad writing. It got, like, I've said this before, it got to the point where it was so Bendis that it was just like, this is too Bendis. I can't do this anymore. Andrew says it was the nostalgia. Young Justice was my shit. Now I'll just reread my old trades. Yeah, like I get the nostalgia. I've definitely held on. Like, let me see if this is good. Let me see if this is good. Let me see if this is good. No, shit, it's bad. It's very bad. Like that. We've all been through that. I totally get that. So again, it's not a dig against you. It was more just like, wow, you made it through 3. I'm genuinely surprised. Like I did not think you would have it in you. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like, I didn't know you were such a masochist, if you will. And then Tehillim says, I've dropped Tom Taylor comics. Dude, who's reading them anymore? Nobody's reading them anymore. He showed his ass with Injustice, or not. Like, Injustice was fun. We talked about this last week. Injustice was fun because it sort of took everything to like 11, right? It took the ridiculousness to 11. It took all these funny scenarios and played them out, and people liked that for a long time. But then once you get past like the second game's plot in those comics, off the rails. Doesn't matter. It's so dumb. You end up not caring. Like when an entire arc relies on the DC version of the Greek pantheon, which is boring as shit because they're literally just like the statues but come to life, you should probably pack it in for that series. But then between like Nightwing and John Kent and just all of his stuff, he doesn't. Yeah, he's not writing comic books to tell like a comic book story. He's writing Tumblr level comic books where the main draw are the characters hanging out in a coffee shop and conversing, and maybe they'll fight a bad guy in the background, but that's a what do you call it? Like a garnishing decoration to their main objective of showing you, oh, isn't John just like so normal and quirky like all of you readers out there? Look at him being so like, oh, he's texting his friends while he should be crime fighting. Isn't that so funny, guys? Like that's what it is. And I'm just, Andrew says, it was bringing Bart and Connor back. I wanted to love them singing again. Dude, I mean, but no, see, you're speaking to the choir. I said it a couple minutes ago. You might not have been around, but like I loved Young Justice. That was my shit. Bart and Connor coming back was the reason I was so excited for Bendis. But it was still like all of that aside, I still couldn't do it past that first one. I still just could not do it. They even threw in, like I said, Jenny Six, who was just an adorable little cowgirl sharpshooter. I loved her, like adorable character, and they just didn't do anything with her. Wrote her off, just farted off on it, right? So. Yeah, like just not really a lot going on there with Young Justice, for me at least. But I think, you have issue number 1 signed by Bendis. I would sell that, or I would like give it away immediately, because why would that's got to be one of those ones you'll find in a bin in a couple years. There's probably a bunch of people who got that signed and then were like, nope, don't want it, get it out of here, and just chucked it. He came to my local comic book store in Vancouver. I mean, yeah, I guess if he's there, get a signature, but I don't know. I wouldn't have gone for that book. I would have grabbed like an Ultimate Spider-Man or something. I would have literally anything else that was not the Young Justice book, or any of his DC work for that matter. If it wasn't my favorite cover with Connor doing the meme pose, I would get rid of it. I mean, just buy it. Buy a regular, sell that one for like $40, buy the regular cover without his signature for like $3, and go buy yourself something nice. Go buy yourself something that's actually worth something, and not, I feel like he brought the value down by signing it, because now you don't have that full, beautiful art page. It's just, now you've got his awful signature on top of it. But yeah, guys, I think that's enough Western comic book talk. Obviously, nothing's getting better over there. Gang War is awful. I'm sure you guys don't need to know that. It's wrapping up. Maybe we'll have some more Zeb Wells to talk about in the future. But obviously, the reason we are gathered here tonight is because I legitimately don't even know how to really lead into this, because as I mentioned at the top, we have officially lost, like, arguably one of the greatest creators of absolutely all time. So, yeah, quick recap, if you guys didn't know. Last night, it was announced by the official Dragon Ball website, from a statement from Toriyama's own studio, Bird Studio, and the entity that's currently in charge of the Dragon Ball IP, Capsule Corp Tokyo, they straight up announced that, I guess a couple weeks ago, Toriyama had an acute subdural hematoma, which is essentially it's a brain bleed. In case you guys don't know, it can come on suddenly. It can also come on slowly as a result of like head trauma. But essentially, blood starts pooling in your brain, starts putting pressure on your brain, and if they don't catch it, if they can't save, like if they don't know it's there, it eventually just causes your brain to fail and damage and just go out, right? So that's what got Toriyama at age 68, which is like that's honestly, guys, that's really young, especially nowadays. Like with all of our advancements in medicine and technology, like 80 is a pretty good standard now. He had at least 12 years left, at least in my stupid estimate. And yeah, so it absolutely brutal shock. I genuinely don't really know what to say about this news. It's a really hard one because Dragon Ball has been such a big part of my life for as long as I can remember. So it's sort of like he's always been there making stuff, producing stuff, whether it was, illustrations or doing like new Sandland doodles, or when he came back for Battle of Gods, like he was always there. He was always creating, and to know that he's not here anymore is just so weird. And I know it's like, here's something I've been sort of grappling with, and it's what I mentioned at the top. Like this is the big celebrity, like the first celebrity death where I'm really at like a loss for what to say, how to react, how to feel, because yeah, I wasn't personal friends with him, but he just had such an impact on my life. And like, you guys know me, like I live and breathe Dragon Ball every day. I've got all of my figure arts around me. I play all the different variations of the card game. I'm wearing my Dragon Ball shirt. I have the scene of Trunks blowing Frieza away after he slashes him in half. I have that tattooed on my side. Like, and it's just, off he goes, right? Off to the other world. So I figured with the latter half of this stream, or forever, how much longer we go tonight, I just wanted to talk with you guys. We can talk our favorite Dragon Ball moments, talk our favorite characters, just all that sort of stuff, because I just think that's probably right, And if we, start running out of time, or if we start running out of steam, I do have, and I kind of want to show it to you guys, but it's also not necessarily the theme of this stream, but the new Dragon Ball card game, Fusion World, it has a digital client where if you buy like a booster pack in real life, you get a code for a booster pack in the game. So it's the full real card game, but with like Yu-Gi-Oh style, like how in the cartoon Yu-Gi-Oh they had all the digital things pop up and play for them. That's sort of what this client is. So if we start running out of steam, I really want to show you guys that, because it's, obviously it's bringing you into my world. I love card games. I guess it's sort of show you what I do with my time when I'm not here or writing for Bounding. But yeah, with that said, I guess I'm just going to start talking, start looking over at the chat. And so Shinkai says, was literally about to go to bed. Just had to see what's on X before I go to sleep. Definitely woke me up. So here's how I found out about it. Obviously, yesterday was Biden's State of the Union, right? Wow, who cares? Woohoo. And it's not like everything out of his mouth last night was a lie. But I'm sitting here and I'm working on a Bounding article. I was working on the Bounding article about Apple and Epic and their escalating fight. And I have the debate on. And I message a friend of mine who's also like a political, like, or he was interested in the debate or whatever. And I'm like, this is so stupid, blah, 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 blah. I send the message. He doesn't reply right away. So I go back to working on the article, and I'm working on the article and I'm listening. And all of a sudden I see like notifications blowing up my Discord. And I'm like, okay, I'll get to those. Like I need to get this article out. Then I'll check messages. Then I'll go on to the next piece. So I finally got to the very end of that article. And as I was getting to the end, I saw like Biden said something. And I was just like, shut the hell up. So like I ran over to my friend and I was just like, did you hear that? And I just saw like 9 messages from him. Like, stop watching that old bastard and look at what we just posted. And like, my heart genuinely sunk. Like I didn't really know how to respond. my first instinct was write an article, and I did, and I got it out within like the hour, and I was just like, gotta write that. But like it hit, and it genuinely sank like my spirits. Like I was sitting here just like, holy shit. And that's sort of, still where I am today, where I mean, obviously it's just like less than 24 hours later, but just so blown away that it finally came to pass. Like obviously he was old, but I mean, Andrew touches upon it right here, right? That's only like a year older than my dad, who had 2 different cancers a few years ago. Same here. My stepdad, he has 1 or 2 cancers, or at least like a cancer and something else. And he's like, I think he just turned 70 or something. Or no, that can't be right. 65? I have no idea. Yeah, I think 65 he just turned. And so, yeah, just like only a couple years older than him. And it's just like, like it's so cliche, but it's just like the fragility of life. Like it just comes at you, and you really cannot ever know. And it comes for us all one day. But I think for a lot of us, there are those figures that have just been so eternal in our lives that we inherently know death comes for us all, but we just don't ever really realize what that like truly means and what that's going to lead to. And so definitely a lot of grappling with mortality here. Like not even going to deny that. Andrew says, Dragon Ball had a huge impact on me growing up. One of my favorite moments was of the intro of Future Trunks and him just bodying Frieza in cold in seconds after we had just seen Goku struggle so much against the former. That's why I like that moment so much. I don't think it's the best moment in Dragon Ball, but I think it is my favorite moment, where Trunks just absolutely pushes Frieza's shit in after Frieza got rebuilt and was so cocky. Absolutely incredible moment. And yeah, like it stuck with me. Trunks is my favorite character. I mean, let's see. How do I do this here? With my green screen. Like that wall scroll back there, I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this before, but I've had that wall scroll since I was like 11. Like it was hanging in my childhood bedroom when I was a kid. And then, I grew up, I went off to college, I had my own life, yada, yada. Pandemic happens. I have to move back in with my parents because I lose my job. And I busted out of store. Like it was in my garage or in their garage. And I was just like, absolutely, we're going to get that Future Trunks like poster out there. And obviously he's tattooed on my side. The biggest bummer I have about Trunks right now is, one, he has no good figures. I don't know why. Like even the Figu arts, man, they don't look good for Trunks. They're just really bad. And they don't really know what to do with him anymore. I think bringing him back at all post Cell games is a mistake. Like as much as I love Goku Black as a villain and that entire arc, it could have been done without Trunks. And it just, they don't know what to do with him anymore. And it's a giant bummer, but he's still always going to be my favorite. Have you guys seen, oh my gosh, I got to show this to you guys. So if you guys don't know, there's this sort of like card game thing in Japan called Dragon Ball Super or Super Dragon Ball Heroes. And it's one of those card games that I wish we had them here, but they're really only over in Asia, where like you have your card and you take it to the place and it powers up and you have to like hold on to that card to use it, and you like play it down on the machine and it fights on the screen for you, and then it powers up and rewards you with more they're really, really cool, and I wish we had them. But there is one for Dragon Ball called Super Dragon Ball Heroes, which is literally just this what if like fan service production, right? Where it revolves around the Time Patroller Trunks, and he's going through different dimensions to get everything right. But in doing that, you get all these crazy like what if scenarios, like what if the Dragon Ball GT Dark Star balls, instead of fusing with those instead of becoming the dragons, what if they fused with Janemba? What if it fused with Cell? What if it got into Frieza? What happens if Cell absorbed somebody at Super Saiyan 4? What happens if I'm trying to remember all the different what happens if Broly goes Super Saiyan 4, right? Like all these different things. Obviously, it's in service of making more cards and selling more stuff, but it's fun. It's fun fan service as long as you're not taking it like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be the most canon shit ever, blah 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 blah. But as part of that, what I really like is that they also include a sorry, I'm trying to look for this art real quick that I'm trying to show you guys. There we go. This is what I want. They also, with every like season of the game, they release every week like a new 5-minute animation that tells the story of Super Dragon Ball Heroes. So you get this little mini anime and you get to see these crazy what if characters go in action, and it's a lot of fun, right? Again, as long as you're going in just for like, let's get crazy with this one, and let's not take everything seriously, it can be a lot of fun. But as part of that like what if scenario-ness of everything, they made Trunks a Super Saiyan God. Like, he got to the form. And I'm not the biggest, like, I teeter in between being a big fan of it and being a not big fan of it. It's not like you could do a lot with Super Saiyan God. It just turns your hair red. It doesn't spike it up or anything, so of course it's going to fall. But what makes me laugh every time about this design is that, oh, okay, you know, we're the designers. We hear that complaint. How do we fix that? Oh, let's give Trunks a freaking Kingdom Hearts blade. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is his sword, his Time Patroller sword in game. You can see it's like wrapped, chained around his wrist. Like, it's so funny. And yeah, like it's just ridiculous, but that's my guy Trunks. You can't ever talk trash on Trunks. What do you know about that? Let's see. What are you guys saying over here while I was babbling about Trunks? Zero says, I was streaming One Piece Odyssey and Bweezy rated my stream with the news. Dude, that sucks. Did you keep... I know I was obviously not there at the time because I was like jamming into writing that article, but oh no, I was there. I did hear that all go down. You were just in the background and I muted you because I was listening to that State of the Union, and then everything blew up. I totally remember that. Okay, never mind. But yeah, like, absolutely just awful news to come across. Like, and then Zero says, one of my favorite moments is Vegeta's Super Saiyan Grade 2 form. Everybody loves that Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, right? When he just roids out. Images. Yeah, this one. Right? Like, oh, so cool. Although that might be from the Beerus movie. But he also, I know he does it against Cell. Google's not going to be helpful. Let's just be oh, there it is. This is literally what I was looking for. The super beefed up Vegeta that makes him slow. And that's how Cell kicks his ass, right? Caffeinated. Oh, Andrew says, I agree. It's not the best, but I love it. And Trunks is my favorite character, followed by Vegeta. See, for me, it goes Trunks, Great Saiyaman, specifically Great Saiyaman, Trunks, and then Goku. Like, I love Goku. I just can't get over it. He's my favorite. And then who else even is there? Yeah, obviously Trunks. Oh, my guy forever will always be Yamcha. Like, I know he gets all the disrespect in Z after the Android saga, but man, like, I loved him in the original Dragon Ball, being like the cool thief with the Wolf Fang fist and then the spirit ball that he can move around before everybody was actually doing energy attacks. And like he was just a cool guy. But I also really liked the being shy around girls weakness he had, because when I was younger, that was me. Before I sort of like came out of my shell and stuff, like I had that same sort of like hesitance. And I mean, like when I was like a teenager, like 13, 14 or whatever. But yeah, that always made me laugh. So I always enjoyed that little aspect of his character. Tehillim says, the Cell Saga arc where Gohan gets the spotlight is probably one of my favorite Akira Toriyama stories. I do plan to get the first Dragon Ball box set. Already got the Z box set. First of all, those box sets are really pretty and they're like massive, Tehillim. I'm so jealous. I eventually want to get all of them to have on like display, but I also need space to do that. I need to have, I need to get my stuff out of storage first before I start thinking about buying new stuff. But yeah, no, I know a lot of people really love the Cell Games arc and they love that Gohan moment. I'm not the biggest Gohan fan. He's fine to me. Again, I like the Great Saiyaman moment, but that's more because it's like tokusatsu parody, of course. So obviously I'm going to jump on that. But yeah, like Gohan's fine. He has his moments. Don't get me wrong. Funny enough, I think I like him literally at every other point in Dragon Ball except for Cell Games. I don't know why. Like I like him as a kid. I like him on Namek. Pardon me. I like him as a student. But just, he's fine in the Cell Games, right? He feels a little bit like a MacGuffin to me because that's how like Cell is beaten by pushing Gohan to his limit. I don't know. It's fine. I'm not really here to denigrate anybody on Gohan because I love the Cell Saga as like an arc altogether to him. It is my second favorite arc of Dragon Ball Z. I genuinely think if you guys didn't know this, the original ending for Dragon Ball was supposed to be Frieza, where Goku would be left in space for people to go like, where is he? Did he survive? What do we know? And Toriyama was going to go off and do something else. But because Dragon Ball was so popular, they went, no. You got to keep going. Give us something more. So he went, okay, here's Cell. And then he's like, I want to end the series with Goku dead and actually gone. And it's Gohan now. This is Gohan's story. And then we got to the end of that and they went, but this is so popular. You need to give us more. And that's why we got Majin Buu. And I'm not a big fan of Majin Buu. It's a fine arc. It's got its moments. But for me, it's just a little too retreading the sort of big bad villain stuff we've all seen from Cell and Frieza already. And so to me, if you didn't end it at Frieza, Cell is a perfect place to end it. And I like ending it at Cell because Cell Saga and Androids have a lot of my favorite moments, from obviously Trunks to all of Cell. Like that moment, guys, I believe it's Vegeta who does it, right, guys? And you'll have to remind me because obviously I don't know my Vegeta lore that much because I'm fine with Vegeta. He's fine. I don't have enough Latin American blood inside of me to be a hardcore Vegeta fan. But that moment when Cell's absorbed 18 and he gets punched, it's either Vegeta or Trunks. It's one of those two. And they like sock him in the gut and he vomits up 18. Like that's such a viscerally cool moment and I really like it. And yeah, so there's a lot of stuff I like from that arc and I think it's a good way to end it. But I also I think there's a good mystique to ending it at Frieza. Even though I know that ending it at Frieza means it wouldn't have had nearly the impact it did on the world if we ended it there. But I like those. Shinkai says, GT was divisive, but the ending when Goku leaves literal perfection, especially Master Roshi silently watching Krillin versus Goku. Yeah, GT, for all its faults, it does sign off pretty well. And again, I am of the opinion that GT is not that bad. There are some really weird creative decisions, but I think the concept is real. A lot of the concepts work. The execution was really bad. I like the idea of the Dragon Balls taking in negative energy every time a nice wish is made, and then it just coming to the forefront and being like, we have to come out. Now there's so much evil in here. It's making a body, Cassandra Nova style, and it's going to fight you guys. I think there's something cool about that. I like the idea of interplanetary Dragon Balls, if we're going to go that far. Obviously, like Shinkai here, I love Super Saiyan 4 as a form. At least Goku's. I think Vegeta's is stupid as hell. I don't know why. I think it's because he tucks his pants into the belt, right? Like, let's see. We go Super Saiyan 4. I love how I'm not spelling anything right. Yeah, the Figuarts. Oh, no, this is the Figurai standard model kits. Right. Man, all of you are very, very tiny, and it doesn't help me illustrate my points. But yeah, see, like, there's something about... Oh, fine, that's why. Super Saiyan 4, compare. Just give me the two of them. Here, fine. This is like the best we're going to get. What the hell ever. With your stupid DeviantArt watermark. But yeah, like the Goku one always looks really cool to me, and it feels like a natural evolution of him being a fighter. But then the weird, like super tight leather pants with a belt tucked into it, and then the gloves for Vegeta. Never been a real big fan of it. So like, I'm wary to say I like all of Super Saiyan 4, but I definitely like Goku with Super Saiyan 4. But that's what I mean. Like there are concepts in there that I think could work. They just got executed really, really poorly because Toriyama didn't have anything to do with GT. I think you're right, Shinkai. I think he at least helped design Super Saiyan 4, but he wasn't involved in like the plotting or the writing or any of that sort of stuff. That was a completely independent thing, which is why it's technically not canon with Super. Or I guess maybe it still could be. I forget where. No, that's right. It's still in the future of Super. So I guess it's still canon. Andrew says, yeah, his sword looks like a cross between a Keyblade and an Aegis sword from Xenoblade. Did I get rid of it? It's probably in this window. Boo! Let's go back. Yeah, we talk about Trunks. It's not great. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I agree with you, Andrew, that it's not great, but I think part of me is unable to just go, fuck it, I hate it, because it's still Trunks. And I like the red hair of Super Saiyan God in general, even if it looks dumb right here. Like, I like that coloring for it. So, and I'm not going to lie, even though the blade itself is really stupid looking, the idea of like the chain that he can throw so he never loses it because it's like his burden, like, I like that. I think it's really cool. It's very Spawn, right? When he went jacked mode against Cell, I lost my shit, says Andrew. I presume you guys are talking about Vegeta. I mean, here was my problem with that moment. Like, I knew that moment was cool, but literally the second it happens, Cell tells him, like, if you do this, you're going to be too slow. You can't beat me. And Vegeta does it anyway. And so I'm like, okay, come on, Cell. That's exactly what I expected. Vegeta got the shit kicked out of him. And so, I don't know, it never really left as much of an impact on me. Addy Yang here says, rip Akira Toriyama. Dude, yes, that's what we're talking about right now. We're just going through our favorite Dragon Ball stuff. No real topic here, except just general Dragon Ball. Andrew says, I wanted to love Goten so much, especially since I hate Gohan, but his character just went nowhere. I mean, that's sort of the entire problem of the Buu Saga, is that you have all these characters now. You have that expansive cast, but at the very end of the day, it just comes down to Goku and Vegeta again. Like, you get Gotenks and whatever, but he gets stoned out. And so, like, I know Andrew says hot take Buu Saga greater than Cell Saga, and I'm just going to have to wholeheartedly disagree, because nothing in the Buu Saga, it's all retreading. It's not giving us anything new. It just feels so... Buu Saga feels like one of those things where it's like, you made this because you had to make it, not because you genuinely had that super burning passion for a story behind you. And so I can sort of feel that radiating when we get, Goku has to save the day again. And, oh, look, the unbeatable monster has like another unbeatable form, and all the Dragon Balls are coming back. And it was just like, I get that it's fan service, and I really like the moment where everybody shows up to give energy for the Genki Dama, but overall, I think narratively, Cell Saga has a stronger story, especially with that personal connection to Dr. Gero and the very beginning of Dragon Ball. And I love that where, they even have that explanation about Cell where, oh yeah, Gero collected all of these pieces of information, but he stopped when you went to Namek because he figured, I've got it all. Like, we're done. And that's why the power different, like they had a chance to fight against Cell. So to me, there's not a lot in Buu. And like, I love Vegito. Like, there are things I like in it. There are things I really like in it. But as like a full arc, I got to give it to Cell every day. Zero. If Danny wants to disagree with me, he can disagree. I don't really care. Like, I really don't know what you're talking about. So weird. You can't, that's okay. There might be more going on in Tori. Okay. So Zero saying Danny will disagree with me because he knows more about what was going on in Toriyama's head. Here's the problem. I'm not saying there's not this. I don't like this reading of it, or like Zero, because I'm still saying factual information. I might not have every single detail that was in Toriyama's head, but that's what he's said. He's come out and said that in like interviews. So you can't really say I'm wrong when that comes from his mouth. You know what I mean? I'll admit that I probably don't know everything that was going on in his head every single second, but I'm not Danny. So very odd little swing there. I don't know. Really weird. But future Trunks greater than Vegeta, greater than Goku for me. Vegeta is way at the bottom of my favorite characters. Like, I will say this right here on the record. I don't give a shit about Vegeta. I have one Vegeta action figure, and that's a Super Saiyan 4 one, because I needed it to round out the set. And I don't pick him ever in any games. He's a jobber. There's nothing cool to him to me. Like, he was cool in Frieza when he was still a threat and he could still do stuff. But as soon as Android rolls around, he is an immediate jobber. He never wins again. Like, there's nothing. And then he loses all of his character sort of growth in Buu by accepting the deal with Babidi just to fight Goku, which is like, no, this isn't, like, it's so dumb. I don't know. I don't care about Vegeta at all. He also has like a lot. His design is so stupid in Buu Saga, where it's just that singlet. There's nothing there to me that makes me think like that guy is super cool. That's the guy I want to be like a super fan of. So yeah, nobody's ever. For all you Vegeta fans out here, you're pilgrims in an unwelcome land. Speaking of Vegeta and 18, that arm break, could watch that on a 10-hour loop. Oh, I mean, I could watch all of these fights just on a like, if I had like one of those nightclubs where they have like all the screens and I just play like random shit, I would just play Dragon Ball videos literally all day. That's all I would do. I would just play fights, AMVs. Yeah, Zero and Andrew say Super takes the place of GT in the timeline. I don't think so. I genuinely think like that's the entire reason. I think Super happens before GT, because that's why Pan is still a baby, and that's why Pan becomes a young woman in GT. Like, I genuinely think that is still true. And that's the reason they're doing the Star Wars thing, right? Where they keep playing in this very specific time, or the Star Wars thing, the Devil May Cry thing. You know, the most recent timeline entry is so bad that, or relatively bad compared to everything else, that if they want to go back and keep adding adventures to it, they have to go and play in the gap between the end of Z and the beginning of GT. So I'm pretty sure, like, I'll even look it up right now. Is Super Canon GT? Oh, what? I'm wrong? Wait. I'm not getting the right answers. I was under the understanding that it was GT. I could be wrong. That's genuinely surprising to me. Let's see. Timon says the Saiyans were a stupid race. The Super Saiyan 1 was a legend to them, and Goku changed 4 more times. They were stupid. Well, I actually disagree with that read of them, Timon, because here's the thing. Originally, the quote legendary Super Saiyan, they'd never seen one. They didn't know it existed. So they didn't know that there were more forms that could be had. They didn't know you could ever push past that. Remember, like, depending on what you want to consider canon, it's either when Goku turns Super Saiyan on Namek, Vegeta freaks out and goes like, that's him. We've had that legend. That's the legendary Super Saiyan. We've never seen it. Holy shit. Or you go to the Broly, the first movie, where everybody recognized that he was sort of that legendary Super Saiyan from birth, and that's why they were afraid of him. So to me, the idea of the legendary Super Saiyan doesn't get eradicated or diminished by having multiple forms. It's just sort of like, we never knew they existed, so how could we have known that they have different forms at all? So like that's where I come from on the legendary Super Saiyan issue. My biggest qualm is the whole trying to make Broly it, but then Goku and where does this all fit in? So I'm kind of glad they got rid of that angle in Super, but it is what it is. Oh, Josh, what is up, Mr. I'm on vacation. You back at another pub, my friend? Let's see. Yeah, neither GT nor Super did Trunks justice. Modern Trunks is ass. Yeah, like, that's what I was saying. Future Trunks is, like, good arc and good character ends the second he goes back to the future in his time machine at the end of Cell. Every time he's come back since, he's just he jobs, he's weak, he just doesn't have his same sort of like badass presence. And yeah, I'm really disappointed by it because, again, my favorite. Let's see. Well, I mean, Andrew says that's them not developing Goten as a teen. Well, you couldn't. You just, if you wanted to introduce Goten at that time, you couldn't make him a teenager. Otherwise, I'd be like, why wasn't Chi-Chi pregnant at all during Cell games? Why did they not talk about it at all? Why is there just now randomly a teenager standing here instead of, the 5-year-old kid it's supposed to be? So I'm actually not against the fact that he wasn't a teenager. It's just that they didn't do anything with him. They didn't do anything with anybody past Goku and Vegeta. Timon says, I like the Red Ribbon Saga. I do too. So that's one thing I really, that's sort of why I give Dragon Ball the edge over Z in my mind. If you're trying to ask me, like, which one do I like better? I like that adventure of Dragon Ball, right? Where they're always going to different locations and they're in search of the Dragon Balls. And, oh no, they got captured here and they're being taken over here, which took them off path. But now they got to go over here. And, oh no, they met Yamcha and yada, yada. Like, I like that adventure. And then especially like when they get to Red Ribbon and it's this, for comparison, it's like a One Piece level plot where Goku is taking on a giant organization by himself and helping people along the way, freeing them along the way, finding all these generals along the way and kicking their asses. And I think while the fighting stuff is obviously amazing and it's why we all love Dragon Ball Z, I would have really liked if they could have kept more of that adventure style rather than, oh, everybody is, we are going to the spot to fight. Like, we know what's going to be here. That's kind of what happens all the time, right? Like, Saiyan Saga. Raditz is here, and he says, come fight me for Gohan. And then after Raditz dies, we learn that the Saiyans are coming. So, come fight the Saiyans right here. And then after when Frieza starts, Goku gets in his spaceship, and it's, okay, we're going to go over there to fight Frieza. And there's no, like, we have to go track him down, or we have to find a weakness to them. It's just Dragon Ball becomes, for good reason. It is one of the progenitors of like modern shonen, but it definitely gets too shonen-y at that point where it's just, we fight strong versus strong. I'm stronger than you. I win. Whereas you see in things like One Piece or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a really good example of it, or early Dragon Ball, where they have these techniques, but the way they solve their problems isn't always necessarily by just overpowering the other person with a higher power strength. It's often, whipping Luffy's arm around a certain way so that it hooks an item and he can pull it back and that unravels everything. Or in JoJo, it's using your stand to put a tracker on someone. Like, things like that I really like in stories. And then you have that fight as the payoff. So yeah, like, I love Red Ribbon. I just really wish they would have kept more of that adventure sort of style. And you do get still some of that adventure in like the movies, like the early movies, like Dead Zone and Tree of Might. But then, yeah, once we're done with Raditz, the adventure really goes out the window in favor of a boss rush, essentially. Like, that's probably the best way to put it, where it's just boss rush mode of all these fights against everybody. Not that there's not plot and character development and growth and everything in that. It's just not very adventurous, right? Like, I think that's one of my biggest disappointments with Dragon Ball is Toriyama always does all these incredible, like, gear porn sketches for the title pages where like Goku's riding an awesome motorcycle, or my favorite one is the one where Bulma has the the submachine gun and she's got like the desert outfit, like the Desert Raider outfit on. he always draws these amazing things that look so adventurous, but they don't show up anymore. They really, I mean, like, how do we see capsule core things nowadays, right? In Dragon Ball, it used to be like, oh, we need some gadget. We need something to get us out of here. We need to traverse this mountain. We need to flee. We need to fight. Oh, I think I have something that can help us with that. Nowadays, it's like, oh, here's a capsule. We need to fly over to the battlefield because the battle's done, and we need to just go check up on everybody. So, not that Z is bad. I love Z. I just wish we could have had more adventure. Let's see. And Josh says, Goku storming the Red Ribbon base is my favorite moment in anything Dragon Ball related. I agree 100% there. That was why I loved that in the beginning of Dragon Ball Superhero. They have that sort of mini montage of Goku's journey thus far to like up to that superhero point, and they recreate a couple Dragon Ball scenes, and that's one of them. Him like riding the flying Nimbus and like whacking shit around and then like jumping up, and I'm like, more of that. I want that. Like that's exactly where I want. Oh, Zero says, because the Pilaf gang were reverted to children, which changes one of the main points at the start of GT, but several lore additions and Super contradict information from GT. I genuinely thought that it all worked. I guess I don't remember the lore stickouts from Super that much. I'll be honest, I didn't pay that. Like I've read it. I didn't watch Super because I ain't got time for that. Nobody got time for that. So I might, but I've only done it like once, like read Super through once. So I might need a refresher, but I'll take the L on that one. I totally thought it all just went together. So I don't know. Yeah. Okay. Wolf saying, I'm referring to Goten post Z and his lack of development, but that's sort of like how you're saying that's not a Majin Buu saga problem. That's a Dragon Ball problem. Again, after Cell Saga, it devolves back into the Goku and Vegeta show, and literally nobody gets anything to do from then on out. Like, Goten does actually have some development, and he just got it, but it was the Saiyaman parody arc, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong. It's exactly what I want. But then after that, they just went right back onto Granola versus Goku versus Vegeta. And it's just like, okay. If you have a favorite character who's not them, good fucking luck ever seeing them do anything ever again. Because they just don't. Piccolo barely got to do anything in the Tournament of Power. And it's just a bummer. It's one of those, it's just what happens when you turn everybody into a Saiyan. Once everybody's a Super Saiyan, anybody who's not just pales in comparison. And it's a bummer. It's a genuine bummer. But I also don't think it's a character specific thing so much as it is a mandate, maybe. Who knows? But just a really overall bad creative direction. Let's see. Josh says, no pub yet. Just got back home early this morning, so I slept all day. I woke up like an hour ago. Oh, back in Chile or back in like your hotel or whatever? I don't know how long your vacation's being at this point. Tehillim asks, what if they did a Trunks spin-off series? It could focus on improving his fighting skills and discovering threats to which we see him take a leadership role to help small towns overcome villains. So I'm generally loath on the idea of spin-offs. They very rarely ever offer anything. That said, I am excited for the Knuckles one because I think that's one of those instances where it'll work. I think if they were to do a Trunks spin-off, that could be a very interesting way to do it, Tehillim. I just feel that, like, to me, when Trunks goes back to the future, he's now, like, he's so strong that he's future Gohan now. He fucks up the androids. He stands as their protector against whatever threats might come. So I think if you did that, if we saw him sort of go back to his time and fight new threats that were completely unrelated to the past, that could be interesting and that could be a fun spinoff. But I don't really want to see any more of Trunks being like, pardon me, being like he is now, like weak and frail and so pardon me. I think that's sort of what they forgot about his character in Super. It's they portray future Trunks in Super like Trunks was before Gohan died. The very, very sheltered, very, very wide-eyed, frail sort of kid. But this is supposed to be the Trunks that didn't like that won, that went back. So what are we even doing here? Like, it's very, very odd. So, and especially now with Toriyama gone, I don't know if I want anybody touching anything unless it's like Toyotaro, and even then, just stick on Super. um, uh, the Namek saga didn't feel like that at all, nor did the Garlic Jr. saga to me. Once you get to Cell, then I agree to a degree. Are you talking about the adventure aspect? Because, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. The Garlic Jr. saga, that's not even, like, that is literally, like, we showed up, now everybody fights. Like we're here, everybody fight us now. Like, that's the entire point of what we're doing. It had a slight bit of adventure, but not on the level of Dragon Ball. No way. And then Shinkai, yeah. I will always like Goku Power Pole more than Kamehameha Wave. Is that a hot take? I don't think so. I like the Power Pole a lot. Again, that's one of the things I miss from that early Dragon Ball are the different things he has to fight with and use, like the Nimbus and the Power Pole. So I think that Kamehameha is cool, and it's obviously iconic, and without it, we wouldn't have a bunch of the attacks or media or whatever we have nowadays. But yeah, I do miss the Power Pole at sort of like every moment. That's why with the Daima trailer, when we saw Kid Goku like whirling it around, I was excited. I was like, yes, Power Pole! Like, let's get back to that. Flex asks, we really want to know, did Bulma ask Shenron to perk up her sagging boobs? Honestly, I know you're joking, but I kind of presume she did, just because that was the whole thing, right? Like, I've been going around getting the Dragon Balls, making all these wishes, yada, 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 to keep myself young. So I presume at some point you gotta touch up the chest. We're going to need the design docs, Toei. You gotta send them our way. Back home already. Yeah. Oh, in Chile. Oh, well, welcome back. Glad to see you survived. I have no idea where you went, but I'm glad you're home. Yeah, they threw Future Trunks' character out the window. He's just, it's a bummer. I don't like his character anymore, or like the Super incarnation. The Goku Black, like I said, I love that storyline. I love everything about it, but I just don't like how Trunks is characterized in it. If I remember in Dragon Ball Z in Future, he looked to Gohan as one of his best friends who died. Right. So that was the whole thing that sort of, that caused him to go Super Saiyan. For those who don't remember, it's in the future that Trunks comes from. Goku died of that heart attack. So the androids were able to win and kill all the Z fighters except for Gohan, who to this day exists as like the sole protector of humanity and shows up whenever the androids do to kick their asses and make sure they don't kill everybody. But then, one day they team up on him and they ambush him and they kill Gohan. And to Trunks, that sort of finally puts everything into like reality. It pushes him over the edge. And that's where he goes Super Saiyan. But if you guys remember too, after that moment, like he approaches all of his fights with the androids with the Frieza Trunks attitude of like, I know what I'm doing. Get the hell out of my way. Instead of the like, all right, like here I go. I'm going to do my best. Like he gets that hard edge because Gohan dies, because of what happens. And so for him to lose that, it's just very odd. He should be more, the best comparison I can sort of give is that in his capacity now, Trunks essentially should be Captain America. You know, if he is back in that future, like Tehillim said, fighting new threats and all this stuff, he shouldn't be, you know, wide-eyed and bewildered and trying to grapple with the situation. He needs to be like, I'm the leader. All right, how do we like finish this specific fight? What are we doing? Like, that's who Trunks should be as opposed to who we got. And it's just, it's super unfortunate. Josh says, famished Super Trunks sucks. It's actually surprising that God Trunks is more muscular than regular Trunks. Plot hole. No, that's what happens when you go Super Saiyan, bro. Don't you know that? Also, that's just, yeah, I hate, I didn't know how to bring that up, Josh, but I hate the skinny Trunks look that they have nowadays. Like, it makes him feel super, super weak. Gohan became his aspirational character, essentially. Yeah, right? Timon asks, will you play Sandland? Yes, I do plan on playing Sandland. I got to play a small demo of it when I was out in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago for the Bandai Card Game Nationals. Pretty fun, if not very, what was the term I used at the time? It takes a lot of inspiration from like, I don't even know, sort of like an open world art MMO, if you will, where like you can see the mobs on the home screen and you actively fight them, but you can also run away and the battle stops. So it looks like it could be fun, and I'm obviously in for it. It's a Toriyama style thing, so I love his art style. And yeah, we'll probably have some streams. If I get it, we'll definitely play it. Don't worry. Shinkai says, it was interesting to see future Trunks come back and see a changed 18. Trunks might have beat her, but Krillin is the real winner. 100%. Krillin wins 100% throughout the entire series at all times. Do we remember Marin? Like, Marin was a babe. But more to your point, I did like that. I liked like, oh shit. Like, I think I hate you, but you're a good person now. And also you have like a mom haircut. What happened? Yeah, Andrew says, Gohan dying and causing Trunks to go Super Saiyan is my favorite Gohan moment. Let's see. Favorite Gohan moment. That is a good one. I do like that one. And I also know you're saying that because you hate Gohan. I think my favorite Gohan moment, and I know Josh probably knows exactly which one I'm going to say, is actually from Dead Zone, where Gohan gets drunk off the fruit and he starts like walking around or whatever, like, yeah. And Garlic Jr.'s henchmen just cannot like get their hands on him. Like, that is my favorite Gohan moment. Duck asks, first off, what's up, Duck? What's stronger, Awakening Super Saiyan or the Sharingan eyes? Ooh, I have to say Sharingan, right? Because Sharingan gives you technique over power. And yeah, like we saw with super buffed up Vegeta, when you're super buff and you, like, the more muscles you have, you slow down. That gives your opponent way too many openings. Like, and of course, it all depends on who has the Sharingan, right? Like this, now we're getting into like the Anime Expo late night panels where everybody just gathers around in like the parking garage and has like power level fights. And I'm here for it. If Trunks got the Sharingan eyes, he would have beat the future androids in like an absolute moment. Like, wait, why are you saying why? What did I say why? I was agreeing with you. And then I just said that I liked, my favorite moment was Gohan drunk. But, yeah, like I definitely think the Sharingan would win over Super Saiyan in real life, because it's about how you use all that stuff. And if you don't know how to use Super Saiyan, sort of like Andrew's saying, like Andrew says, I would actually take the Sharingan in real life over Super Saiyan. And I would too, because do I know how to fly? Do I know how to shoot beams? Do I know instant transmission? Do I know any of that stuff? No, I'm just Super Saiyan. So cool, I've got great hair and I'm powerful, but what do I do with it? Whereas with the Sharingan, I look at them and I'm like, oh, I know exactly how to do what you're doing right now. Buckle the hell up. Like, you're about to get taken down. Let's see. Midnight in Brazil, I'm officially 39. Timon, happy birthday, man. Thanks for spending it with us. I wish I could do something more exciting for you. I have nothing. Here, I have my one soundboard sound that we can use. That's about as exciting as I did. I'm sorry, man. I genuinely would have done something if I'd have known, but happy birthday. I'm glad. I hope you go out and actually do something tomorrow, like during the actual day. Let's see. Yosef says he's 30 minutes behind. Anyone here play Dokkan Battle? I do not, unfortunately, because I don't have the time or the energy for mobile games, and like I don't like the play, pause for a little bit, like, oh, you've run out of energy. Do you want to buy more? Do you want to wait 24 hours to play again? Like, that throws me off, and it throws the flow of the games off to me. But I do know lots of people love Dokkan. That was when I was at Nationals. One of the side announcements they were doing during the tournament was, we're going to show you what's coming up for Dokkan next year. And everybody went over there. Like, people flooded for Dokkan. Like, it was crazy. I had genuinely no idea. Andrew says, yeah, correct. Can't stand him. Josh says, then again, Broly proves Super Saiyan doesn't require training. Brute force is a power. Well, we already sort of saw that, right? Like with Goten. Like that was actually what was going through my head when I was making that whole point, is that Goten is able to just turn Super Saiyan, but he doesn't know what the hell he's doing with it. He doesn't know. That's why, like, Gohan has to train him, has to focus him in how to use it, because it was so natural to him that he just became it. And that's exactly, like, you're right there on the exact same the exact same bent as me there, Josh. Uh, yeah, Madara's filler arc, no jutsu, yeah, like that's what I'm saying. There's no beating any of this. I want the stream's not over, but I have to pee like a freaking racehorse. So I am going to throw up my be right back screen for a second, and you guys talk amongst yourselves. The best answer can be presented to the class when I get back, and I am going to go to the bathroom. So enjoy. Whee! All right. Let's see. What did I miss? What did I miss? First of all, let's see. What did I miss? Broly. Oh shit, Marcy. Hey, Spencer. Dude, Marcy, what's up? I haven't seen you since like Mike's wedding, so get your ass back down to SoCal sometime and let's hang out. But da, 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 da. It's also why present day Trunks is stronger, because he was trained more than Goten was. It's not an age thing. No. I'm not saying it's an age thing about becoming Super Saiyan. What I'm saying is it's possible to just get into that state and not have to train to get to it, right? Like that's all I'm saying. And so relate that to the discussion we were all having about like which one would you rather have. I'm just saying, like, because it's possible to just go into the state like Broly does and like Goten does, would I benefit from being Super Saiyan in any way outside of just being super strong? That's like I don't think so. So I'm going full Sharingan. Let's see. Josh says, oh yeah, and Goten didn't know how to fly, but learned in like an afternoon. So for Goten, flying is like learning how to snowboard. You'll be flying, snowboarding by the end of the day. I think they also explained that. No, that was his power level. But yeah, he learned his flying in like an hour, and then it took Videl like a week or something, like during that whole entire arc. Let's see. I had such high hopes for Goten. He wasn't obnoxious like Gohan was at first. I really can't express just how much I hate Gohan. Mystic Gohan versus Super Buu is his only good moment for me. Maybe this is just going to be the recurring theme whenever we bring up Buu, but like I don't even think his fight against Buu is that cool. And that's another one of those moments where it's like, oh, we power up a character. Psych, Goku and Vegeta, take us away. Like, I can't stand it. I will say I did really like his character in Superhero, because yes, I know a lot of people are like, oh, why didn't he keep on training? Why didn't he keep on being like the protector Goku wanted to be? And I'm like, first of all, that's not what he wanted. So I like the idea of Gohan pursuing his own like path in life. Like he doesn't have to follow after Goku and be the defender of Earth, but he still can fight. But I also just liked, like, so he's like the scientist, he's a nerd, but the second things become real, he's ready to get real. Like my favorite scene probably in Superhero is when the red ribbon guy comes to his house and like knocks on the window at his office and is like, hey, we stole your daughter. come with us if you like ever want to see her again. And instead of like freaking out, Gohan goes like Super Saiyan to the point where he like makes holes in the foundation beneath his house, and the house like sinks because his energy is just flowing so hard. That was really cool, and I really liked that. I really like Gohan as a dad. He's a very, very good dad. But yeah, like to me, he's just sort of there for the rest of the series. Duck's another one of what the hell is wrong with you people? Duck saying, my good boy Duck is also saying Boo is greater than Cell. And I don't know what the hell is wrong with you people. Cell is such a better arc than Boo. Let's see. Flex says Kai-sama kind of did the Earthling fighters dirty by not teaching them Kaioken and Genki Dama. That's what I mean. Like, I've always kind of thought that. I'm like, why didn't you prepare them a little bit more? And even if, like, okay, maybe they couldn't handle the Kaioken or the Spirit Bomb, whatever. Well, you could have taught them something. Yamcha pretty much already has his own version of a spirit bomb. It's just small and he can move it around. You don't think you could teach him how to spice that up or something? Like, what the hell is wrong with all of you people? Cell is an insect, literally a leech. Yeah, that's why he's cool. Like, he's gross. He's a monster. That's why I really like him. I especially like I like his first form the most. Not even Perfect Cell, not even that stupid one with the big lips. Like, I like that monster Cell because he's just a literal monster. And like that was always cool to me. Let's see. Andrew says, I guess I just have zero issue with Z being the Goku and Vegeta show. I can see how others would though. That's interesting because yeah, like to me, I don't, this isn't even like a Dragon Ball problem. I don't like when series sort of flanderize their narratives to only focus on one specific character from there on out, right? Like I hate to go back to it, but like Star Wars, you have all of these different characters and different like expansive worlds that you can explore and play with and do all these things with. And yet, as far as Disney's concerned, they only want to stick around like the Skywalkers, like Luke, Vader, and Rey, if you want to fucking go that far or whatever, right? Like that to me is stupid because you have so much more to play with and so much more you can do. And yet you just keep going for the very tired, okay, it's these two again. And like, especially in Dragon Ball, you have so many different characters with so many different things that they could offer. Like Piccolo's thing where he he can stretch his arms, he can grow in size. We should have seen that a lot more. Tien literally had like the solar flare and he had martial arts from the crane style. We never really got to see that. I've already ranted about Yamcha's like powers and stuff. So if you introduce, I think maybe the difference is in the standard. If you had introduced the show as the Goku and Vegeta show, I would have been more okay with it. But once you started introducing all these other characters and made me care about them and sort of framed them as they're super important and strong and can do stuff, and then, so I don't even know what I was saying right there now because now I know you guys are. I know the Rey thing. I'm speaking from their production room. That's how they see it. Like they see it as like focus on the Skywalkers, which are Luke, Vader, and Rey. Again, I don't like it. I don't agree with it. It's just that's definitely how Disney is looking at it. Josh says, my only problem with Gohan is that most games don't translate well his ultimate power. Fighters has you charging a gauge to level 4 before you can connect combos properly. Well, that's because there's just nothing really to that ultimate power up aside from you're stronger. That's literally all that one gave to them. Like, and not even that much stronger. He still got his ass rocked by Boo. Like that was sort of what I was ranting about earlier, where you gave him a power up, but it doesn't really matter because Boo kicks his ass anyway. So I don't even use Gohan in fighters. No way. My entire team are like, it's all Gokus in my house. And then Flex points it out. Super Manga finally canonized Gohan's Boo form as ultimate. Yeah, I was so surprised it took that long because that chapter only came out like 2 weeks ago or so, right? Like where Gohan and Goten or Goten and Trunks are like, yeah, we always called it ultimate because it was cool. You didn't call it anything, so that's what we called it. Yosef, remember when Super Saiyan was the ultimate? Missed that. And like I'm right there with you. I do think we've gotten to the point where it's just the form game. Like I love Super Saiyan God. I genuinely do. And I thought it was a really cool idea when it was introduced. But then they immediately, in the next movie, like the next piece of media, they introduced Super Saiyan God and made that other one irrelevant. So it's just Dragon Ball as a franchise has gotten to the point where instead of building out, they're building up. And it's a very narrow amount of stories you can build going up. Whereas if you built out, you could have had so much more you could have done. And if anybody here is still reading the Super manga, like you kind of see the effects of that with the whole granola arc that just happened, where it all just devolved into new form on new form on new form. Oh, the day is saved by a new form Frieza. So yeah, I don't even know where I was specifically going with that one, but oh yeah, the forms. That's what we were talking about. Yes, Rey's a Palpatine, blah, 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 blah. But see, like, Duck's completely right. Rey can beat Gohan with her eyes closed. Like, just right there. She probably already knows how to go, like, Ultimate and do a Super Kamehameha and all that stuff. And yeah, Josh is sort of relaying what I was saying, which is Super Saiyan used to mean shit got real. Now everyone gets 3 new transformations and 2 additional desperate transformations. And that's like, I would rather them just stay like, oh, I'm Super Saiyan 3 and now I'm super fast, but I have a time limit on it or something. And then they have to use their powers like that. Just something like that, which is so sort of like One Piece. Like, look at Luffy's gears, right? Like Gear 1, he got a slight power up. Gear 2, slight power up, but he was also able to, make his body grow bigger, like his fists and stuff. In Gear 3, that is literally like the entire thing. In Gear 3, he can change his body size, which he, really easily with a lot of power and a lot of hockey and all that stuff. Gear 4, you have him going Kong and he like turns his legs and he can fly now because he's using them as like air cannons to shoot around. And then you get to, I guess Gear 5 and he's a cartoon now. Like he has cartoon character physics and it's a different ability to him rather than just, oh, I'm stronger now, right? Like, oh, I'm stronger now. I can do like that's, I liked Ultra Instinct a lot because it did something different rather than just being a power up. It said, okay, it makes you powerful and you go on instinct more. Like that is something different. And I liked that. And it was like, oh man, that could make Goku dangerous. Because what if he just starts attacking his allies because he's in fight mode? They didn't do anything with it. And now it is just a power up. But there was potential for things to do. Let's see. The issue, Andrew says the issue with the lack of balance between focusing on Goku and Vegeta, but not having legit growth with the other good characters is a combo of Toriyama's writing and pressure from the studios. I agree. Like, I'm not sitting here going like, damn, Toriyama, you fucking suck for doing this. Like, why are you such a bad author? Absolutely not. Like, it's an unfortunate thing. It is what it is. And I understand everything that got there. It's just sort of one of those, like, I really, really wish we could have gotten more cool Piccolo moments. I wish we could have seen more out of Yamcha. Remember Chaozu? Does anybody remember Chaozu? Like, that's all I'm saying. I get, unfortunately, how it happened. But that, it's sort of like, I get how it happened. That doesn't mean I have to be okay with it. I know that sounds a little more combative than I meant, but that's sort of like the attitude I'm coming from. At least Gohan isn't a Mary Sue like Rey Palpatine. I don't know about that. He kind of is a little bit of a Mary Sue. I mean, he unlocks a lot of his powers really easily. He's like the Messiah. I don't know. Maybe not as bad as Rey, but there is definitely like a laziness to Gohan's, again, his teen character. It's when he gets to be a teenager that everything starts going really, really downhill. Because at that point, like his childish, like naivety has no excuse because he's a teenager and he's in like the fight. So it just gets really annoying to me. Let's see. Oh yeah, I say that as a Gohan player. Fighters did him dirty, and yet 2 Gohan and Ultimate Gohan are my go-tos. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, I remember being good in that game. I still need to boot it back up now that it's got rollback. Like, I really want to get back into it. Duck says, I want to know why Gohan can't go Super Saiyan 3. Because he just hasn't trained there, bro. You got to train. Or if you want to go GT, you got to get your Burt's waves so that you can skip it all. Duh. Learn your canon. No, the real answer is just that they don't want to have to deal with anybody. They don't want to deal with having to write Gohan back into the plot. Like, that's just all it is. Oh yeah, there was no Gear first. There's Gear 2. Okay, that's right. Yeah, so Gear 1, Gear 2. That's why you could have seen. I was like trying to reach like, what the fuck is Gear 1? And yeah, there is no Gear 1. It's Gear 2. Yeah, Frieza. I start watching Dragon Ball Super, and look who they bring back from hell again. Yeah, like I like Frieza coming back for the Tournament of Power. Because it's like, oh, we need somebody to fight with us, yada, yada, yada. Frieza's strong. I like that sort of like the enemy of the enemy is my friend. But now that they brought him back, they are just like, he's just the villain again. He's literally the villain of Broly. He's of the movie Broly. He's the villain of the last arc. He even has a connection to Moro, which is 2 arcs ago. So it's just like, again, this just all relates to my problem of like, expand out. We don't need everything to be Frieza. Not everything needs to be, Palpatine. I'm still not over Goku giving Cell a sensu bean when he had him beaten. Nobody is. Just absolute stupidity. That's just, but I mean, like, that's Goku, right? Like, he wants the challenge, and he's dumb. Like, it is a dumb moment, but I also think it is a good reflection of his character flaw, because Goku's not smart, and he really is just like a very forward-focused dude. Like, I'm going to fight, I'm going to protect people who are like in danger, and I'm going to eat. So, completely stupid, but also very much in character, unfortunately. Let's see. Ultimate God Turning arc, where was Gohan's power-up? Dude, you didn't think that the green tracksuit was like the best power-up of all time? You didn't like the bowl cut? So stupid. I hated Gohan's appearance in the Tournament of Power. It was just so bad. Josh says, Flex says, Ultimate Gohan was on par with, if not slightly over Super Saiyan 3 Goku during the Buu fight. There was no point to it. It was just one of those moments to like extend things. Like, it was just like, keep it going, keep escalating everything, keep making the threat so much bigger so that when Goku finally beats it, like, he beats it. But then we had to bring in Beerus and gods and dimensions and stuff. So all of that sort of went out the window anyway. Josh says, I know you hate Super Saiyan 3, but the time limit is one of the main reasons I like it. It's powerful, but not sustainable. It's the OG desperate transformation. He could have used it against Vegeta, but didn't. I like that. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't like the design of 3 at all. I just think it's really stupid. But I like that it has a time limit, that it does something that's not just, oh, you're stronger now, right? Like that, to me, a lot of these forms are like when you're playing a video game and you get a new piece of equipment and you equip, your new sword, and you have plus 50 attack now. Great. I have 50, like, I'm stronger. Do I have to fight any different? Do I have to do anything different? Does it let me blast things away? Oh no, now I can just smack everything around. Okay. Oh, I've run into a boss and it's stronger than me. Well, do I have to get good and learn techniques to like dodge around it and all this stuff? No, I'm just going to go equip a stronger sword and do what I was doing, and we win again. Like, that's sort of like the difference between it. If they'd have leaned harder into 3 being that desperate transformation still, maybe it could have worked. But as like Duck just pointed out too, they don't ever use it. I don't even think Gotenks uses it anymore. He didn't even, I don't even think he used it in Superhero, did he? Because it was Fat Gotenks, so he's not even using it. I think they just sort of want to move on from it. I don't ask me why. To me, Super Saiyan 3 feels like the redheaded stepchild of the Dragon Ball transformations. Andrew, my man, Tien had the best moment in the Cell Saga, Tri-Beam is God mode, when he freaking like blasts it and like the floor blows out from underneath him. Oh, that was so sick. Like, I love that. The Kikoho spam. Yeah, Zero. You know what we're talking about. Kikoho, thank you, using the real name, says Josh. And then thank you, Andrew, you're on my side. Gohan is absolutely very akin to a Mary Sue. I just don't know if I would say he's as bad as Ray. I definitely think he is a Mary Sue to an extent, but Ray is just Like, at least Gohan had to train. At least Gohan went to the hyperbolic time chamber for a little bit. At least Gohan got his shit rocked in on Namek for a time. At least Raditz was able to capture him before he had his, like, his burst. And even after his burst, he still, like, slapped Gohan and said, like, get the hell back inside, like, the pod, right? So at least he had some struggle. Whereas Rey, again, okay, I know it's Star Wars, but now that Andrew got me, like, I will say this one thing, because it is the thing that set the tone for me for this entire stupid fucking trilogy, and it relates to what we're talking about here. That moment when Rey when she gets in Force Awakens, when Rey gets interrogated by like Daniel Craig in his cameo by the stormtroopers, and Kylo Ren, like, Kylo Ren comes in and he tries to use, like, the Jedi mind trick and, like, extract the information about the rebellion from her, and she doesn't give in, yada yada. So he leaves. He's like, I'll be back. When he leaves, she's sitting there with just the two stormtroopers, and she just goes, oh, I bet I can do that. You will let me out. And, like, it works, and she just knows how to do it, right? Like, at least Gohan had to go to the time chamber to learn how to control his being Super Saiyan and stuff. There's even that really good moment, even though I believe it's filler, but when they show Goku and Gohan relaxing the day before the Cell games to sort of give their bodies rests, and Gohan's like, he can't control himself in his Super Saiyan mode. Like, he picks up, like, a glass of juice and it just instantly shatters, and he tries to sit down and it blows out, and Goku's like, all right, we have to learn about this because you're strong now. Like, remember that. So at least he has to go through some of that stuff. Flex says Vegeta could attain Super Saiyan 3 if he wanted to, but chose not to due to its drawbacks. I mean, at this point, like, you don't need to go 3 when you have God, which is unfortunate. And that's what I mean. Like, there's no reasons anymore to even go back to 3. There's not even really a reason to go back to 2. It just gets used sometimes because it's literally the same art as Super Saiyan 1. Jesse Cat says, we need to hurry and gather the Dragon Balls. There's still time. We can bring him back. We only have a year limit. That's okay. It's only been a day. Let's get out there. We got to go down to the trenches. We got to go up to the mountains. We got to get our dragon radars going. I absolutely would if we could. Are you kidding me? He's, of all people, he's like one of the few who deserves that wish. Tehillim says, Dragon Ball is probably one of the most interesting takes on the Monkey King story, with a lot of changes but still fun. I mean, there are a lot of them. I'll slightly push back. Like, there are a lot of good Monkey King parodies, but I think this one put such a very unique spin on it that it's hard to almost remember that it's a Journey to the West parody. In fact, like, it kind of drops that after they meet Yamcha, to be real. Like, Yamcha feels like the last role from Journey to the West, and then it's high time to Dragon Ball. Let's see. Xeno Gohan can go 4 though. I mean, I was talking about it earlier. Super Dragon Ball Heroes is rad, but you can't count that shit as canon. Like, there's absolutely no way we can look at that and go like, yes, we need to factor Golden Frieza corrupted by the 8-star Dragon Ball into our power level discussions. I love it to fucking death, but we cannot open those floodgates just for everybody's sanities, for the culture's sanity. Dante says, last one I played was DBZ Budokai for PS2. Hey, those are the best ones. I love the Budokai games. Number 2 is one of my absolute favorite Dragon Ball games because it has all these fighters and it has all this fan service and just all this shit you can do, and it's absolutely fantastic. Let's see. Duck says, the whole problem with Dragon Ball is never letting the next generation get stronger or take over. Goku was in Prime since episode 1. Now Goku is Grandpa, and yet he's still in Prime. Yeah, like, that's sort of what I was saying before, where Toriyama did want to move on. Like, that was the whole point with Cell, was now it's Gohan. But it's also sort of what Andrew was referring to a little earlier, where as things get popular and people get drawn to their favorite characters, writers take notice and they start focusing on them, and it is what it is. It's a bad combination. I'm not down with any of it. I really, really wish we were getting better Gotens. I really wish we had. I thought one of the coolest, most interesting things ever would have been letting Trunks, as he is now, like, grow up, become strong, and then future Trunks comes back. How do you work that out? Who's stronger? Why do you need him? Blah, 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 blah. But we don't get that because it always has to be Goku. Like, no matter what, if you're going to be victorious, it has to be Goku. genuinely like surprised that he didn't get the win in the Tournament of Power and that it went to Android 17. A genuine like shock moment to me, because that's how I expected it to go down. Shinkai says, I don't think giving Cell the Sensu Beam was dumb. If Cell ran out of energy, he would have just ended and blown things up. Wanted Gohan to willingly beat Cell, but failed to understand his son didn't like fighting. At least my take on it. Not a bad take, Shinkai, but I also think it forgets that they didn't know Cell's self-destruction stuff at that point, right? Like, Goku at that point knew that the Earth was under threat and that if Cell won, he was going to blow it up. So, logically, he should have gone like, okay, the entire Earth is in the balance. I can't play around right here. Now, your read on misunderstanding Gohan and everything, completely accurate. Because, yeah, he goes, oh, I can fuck around with Cell because Gohan's going to wipe the floor with him as soon as I'm done. Didn't work out for him. Still a bad decision, but that was where he was coming from. So, yeah, the whole Cell's going to end it immediately thing, they sort of already knew that. And if Goku, could have beaten him and he could have just wiped him out, he could have given him no time to self-destruct or go into space and blow things away. You know what I mean? Jess says, I hope Akira Toriyama made another season or at least wrote something down before he passed. So he definitely has been working on the Super manga for, I couldn't tell you how much he's probably got like in the cooker coming down, but I can't imagine he just, quit and had nothing left. So we'll definitely have some of him for the foreseeable future. Another cool thing is, I don't know if you guys know what the series Sandland is, but it was a very obscure, like 3-5 chapter manga that Toriyama made way back in the day. Ran again for like 5 issues in Shonen Jump. He only wanted it to be a miniseries. That was the entire intention. Story start, story end. They're making a anime adaptation about it, and they just announced yesterday. Of all days, like the timing, it was earlier in the day, but holy shit. The Sandland series is going to be 13 episodes, and rather than just retreading that original book or like that original story, which has already been done in the recent movie and is going to be done in the video game, Toriyama wrote an entire sequel story to Sandland, which is going to make up the second half of the Sandland anime with new characters, new adventure, new everything. So we at least have one more really good thing coming down the pipe from Toriyama. Like at the very least, we'll be okay for a little bit into the foreseeable future. I just wanted to get the graphic, give you guys something a little better to look at than that awful Trunks design. Let's see. See, I don't like SS3 design, Andrew, just because it's like, okay, we get it. Longer hair. All right. Like, that's like, I look at it and I just go, all right. I don't like necessarily hate it. There's nothing to it for me. It's just there. It just is. I also like that it's a transformation with a drawback again, like grade 2. Yeah. But again, we're never going to see that drawback again because I just don't even remember this form exists. Oh, Josh says, I mean, now that Toriyama is gone, watch blue-haired Super Saiyan 3 come down the line. Shit, Toriyama may have used it down the line too. It's so funny you say that because that was literally going to be my next point is like, yeah, it's gone, Andrew, and we're never going to see like Super Saiyan 3 again, but we'll probably get like Super Saiyan 3 blue. We'll probably get Super Saiyan green or some shit. I don't know. Like at this point, all bets are off, right? Like now you don't have Toriyama to at least have, obviously it's not like Toriyama said only Super Saiyan. Of course he had a hand in making all these like forms. It's his work. But now that he's not here, you have all these companies that can go, well, we want to make like, can't we make like an orange one to market this thing or a green one or a purple one or so on and so on and so on and so forth. And because Toriyama's not here to go like, hell no, it might happen. Now, I will give the caveat that maybe it might not be that dire because there are Bird Studio and Capsule Core Tokyo still exist who are actually the ones in charge of the IP. And they're made up of like hand-picked selections by Toriyama, like editors he used to work with at Shonen Jump and stuff on Dragon Ball. So it's in good hands for all intents and purposes. But you know, we've all been let down by heroes before. Yeah, and then yeah, Ducks right here. Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, 4, way greater than Super Saiyan God, blue, red, gold, black, rose, rainbow, all that bullshit. And I am so there with you. Like that first moment when Goku goes Super Saiyan against Frieza on planet Namek, that is just like, that is anime. Like that is just everything. Oh yeah. See, Andrew goes, oh, 100% go on. Eventually had to train and did improve. He's not Ray level, right? Like we can all at least agree that Ray is still the absolute worst fucking thing to happen to pop culture. Shinkai says, Spencer says, what about Chaozu? But what about Launch? Yamcha lost Bulma because plot, but Tien lost because forgetting. And then yes, Josh points this out. Josh and I had this conversation like a few months ago because we were going through the final battle scene of Z where everybody's giving the energy for the Genki Dama, and Josh was like, who the fuck is this? Like who is this woman that they're focusing on? Like this delivery truck driver. Why does she get like a full like shot in the middle of this montage of like the Z fighters? And I'm like, dude, that's Launch. Duh. So then yeah, after that we got onto this whole like discussion about Launch, and as Josh points out, he's currently living with Launch in Super. You see her very briefly when they go to recruit him for the Tournament of Power. And I think she might be on like a cover page to one of the chapters. But yeah, she's still there. I want her back. I really liked Launch. I like the whole dual personality from like sneezing. It's just one of those sort of like cute tropes you won't ever get anymore. Whether that's, and I don't know why we don't get that anymore. I'm not saying it's like an agenda thing or everybody says it's bad now. It's just we don't see it very often, and I would have liked to see her come back. Let's see. Yeah, Flex says blonde Launch falling for Tien and blue Launch falling for Yamcha would be the funniest love triangle. Dude, I would watch that if it was like an OVA or like a bonus episode they made, or like an omake, however you guys want to say it, like the OMAKE comics. Like I would absolutely love that. That's a great idea, Flex. I think that's really funny. Yeah, Shinkai, she's like barely in it. I don't even think she speaks. I think it's just literally like she's in the background and then Tien like goes and the scene changes. Andrew says, it's sad because I would have been down with Rey as a character if they had developed her properly. They failed abysmally in literally every measure. Yeah, like before, like I don't want to go down that path. We're not going down that path, but I will agree with that sentiment. Could have been cool. Execution completely bad. Like I went into like Rey going like, okay, cool, whatever. New hero, show me. And then I came out going, ugh, that sucked. Who's stronger, Goku or Ash's Pikachu? Ash's Pikachu. Literally nothing. It is a Lovecraftian elder god, that fucking Pikachu. I've had an issue with that Pikachu and the anime and the games ever since I was a kid, because there's that episode when Ash gets his badge from Brock, and to do that, he puts it's Onyx versus fucking Pikachu, and to beat him, Ash like sets off the sprinklers, which wets Onyx, and then Pikachu bolts him, and it KOs him in a hit. And I remember being like 8 and being like, bullshit! Like that. First of all, ineffective. Second of all, there are no stage hazards in Pokemon. Third of all, like he's still rock underneath that water. Like, get the hell out of here. But somehow you did it. And then of course, like Pikachu goes up against like legendaries. And then there's that scene in Pokemon, the first movie, when Ash is fighting the trainer, and the trainer throws out like all 4 of his Pokemon because he's losing, and it's like a Machamp, a Donphan, and something else, and Pikachu just OKOs them. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. No, there's nothing in media that is stronger than Ash's Pikachu. Josh says, as blasphemous as this will sound, I have to say I'm actually more concerned about Masako Nozawa's passing away than Toriyama. I don't think that's blasphemous. I think that it's a very... I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think it's sort of like Here, like, I'll give you my perspective, Josh. Like, obviously, I'm concerned about her passing away. She's definitely, like, more on the older side. And then with Toriyama, I just knew, like, yeah, it'll happen someday. And now that Toriyama's happened, it's very sad. But now it's like that it's done. He's gone. He's at rest. but there's still the impendingness of Nozawa that makes me like worry, if that makes any sort of sense, right? Like, yes, it's a major loss that Toriyama's gone, but he sort of had already done like Super and all this. This is all gravy. He did what he wanted to do with Z and all that, so at least he can rest now. I guess sort of what I'm saying, and it's not so like I don't have to wake up and be like, oh, is this the day that Tori goes, because it's already gone. But I don't think it's blasphemous at all. I think it's very, very, very much something that all like Dragon Ball fans, like you got, like all of you original audio fans are concerned with like all the time. Like I don't think that's blasphemous at all. We got rebooted Evo Hanjin in here saying me and my son are crying a bit. Honestly, like as soon as I got the announcement yesterday, and I was going through images to share in like articles and stuff, and if you're in any of the Discord servers or whatever, yada yada yada, you'll have already seen this page share, because I got, for curiosity, I went to the last page of Dragon Ball, and it's this, and it's him saying like here, I'm just going to read out like his final message for Dragon Ball. He says, "Thank you so much for reading Dragon Ball for all these years. I'm grateful for all the support you've shown me right to the finish line. I've been planning this end for quite a while. I'm sorry that it had to be announced so suddenly. My editors have agreed to let me end this manga so I can take some new steps in life. It's time to take a break. Although I may draw some one-shots here and there, I'm sure you'll see me again, and I'm sure it'll be fun, or at least I hope so. So stay tuned. Until we meet again, so long." And then his little avatar over there says, "Tackle life with as much energy as Goku. I'll try to do the same." Like, I was choking back. Like I was fighting back tears every time I read this page. Like, it's hard. This is a really, really hard one for a lot of us. And I don't think these emotional reactions are out of the ordinary at all. Now, I'm not going to go Kevin Smith, and I'm not going to really, like punch myself in the face to get a lot of extra tears going and film it on social media for a reaction. But I'm right there with you, man. Like, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And it's like, it's only going to get harder as time goes on. Like, one thing that stands out to me is that in the message announcing Toriyama's death, they said, his funeral has happened, but we don't have any plans for like a public commemoration yet. We will let you know when that happens. And I'm like, I feel like once that public commemoration happens and you just see everybody turn out for Dragon Ball, like around the world of all ages, creeds, whatever the fuck, like it's going to be heartbreaking. That's when I think, at least in my personal view, that's when it's going to finally like break hearts. Let's see. You said long hair doesn't do anything for you, but I bet you were jerking to Jiraiya's long hair. I didn't care about Jiraiya's long hair. His design's whatever. I like his character, okay? I look into his soul. I like to see the man beneath the external shit. Yeah, long hair is metal as fuck. That's some White Snake shit. I don't know. I'm not really into the big metal aesthetics and stuff. I know Dante is gonna flip out when he hears that, but not for me. And then schizophrenic sneezing. It was one of the best parts. It was so cute. Yes, and that's a good point too, Shinkai. Ren and Run, they're like the exact same character. When they sneeze, they switch places, especially different genders and people, because she's an alien. I like that character. She also reminded me a lot of Ranma, where Ranma switches between genders when he gets wet, like cold water, hot water, yada yada yada. So there's a lot of fun you can have with those kind of characters, and it's a bummer that nowadays we either get them as, or it's either, oh, you can't do schizophrenia or multiple personalities as a villain because that mental health and all that fun stuff, or you get them just being like cartoonishly evil, like Green Goblin from Spider-Man, like Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, or Two-Face, where they're just like unhinged psychotic on the other side, and it's like, well, they're a bad guy, gotta stop them. So yeah, like I want to see more of it. It's fun. Ash's Pikachu every day of the week and twice on Sundays. That's right, that's right, Andrew. Like, I'm right there with you. Didn't think of comparing Launch with Ren Run until now. Feels so dumb. I mean, those two series are so completely like not related to each other that I don't even like. I wouldn't have even put them in the same conversation ever, unless it was just like, what anime have you watched in your life, Mav? then I would use them in the same conversation, but otherwise they're never getting brought up together. Onyx is immune to electric attacks. That's what I'm saying. Kamichu pisses me off to this day, and I will not be happy about it until that becomes a fucking mechanic in an actual game. What is that new one? Pokemon Legends Z or like ZX or whatever. I forget what the exact. I know it's the Zygarde one. I just forget what the name of it is. But like, that game better let me push like a Venonat into the ocean, and once it's in the ocean, it gets like a 4 times electric damage multiplier. Like, do that right the hell now, and I will stop this complaint forever, Game Freak. Yeah, Geodude and Onix are ground type. No amount of electricity should have affected them. That's what I'm saying. And the rock type alone is neutral to electric, though. Yeah, but then it's like you just said, it's that ground type. And trust me, as a kid, I knew my damn types. I used to be able to know all 151 original Pokemon by their stupid like MIDI chirp that they're like battle cry that they would make when they showed up on screen or you played it in the Pokedex. I could tell you which Pokemon you were looking at just by that sound. I know my facts. Yeah, games and media can bring back Goku all they want, but her voice for Goku, Gohan, Goten is just unique. Here's, like, they're obviously going to keep using her, but they're probably going to have to just go for a replacement eventually, like they did with Rick and Morty, and it will be different. And the only thing we can really hope for, Josh, at this point is that they're really hard at work training and working with and seeking out the best possible candidate to do a Nozawa impression. Because if you give Goku, like, a new voice direction, gone. Like, it will not work whatsoever. Like, someday, like, for me and my dub homies over here, someday Sean Schemmel is going to voice out a Goku, and we're going to have to listen to somebody else, and that's going to be fucking weird, and I don't know if it's going to be the same. So I guess all we can do is just hope, fingers crossed, that's what Toriyama would have wanted for us. Duck says, don't you have long hair from time to time? Shut the fuck up. Be quiet. That's not relevant right now. That is absolutely not relevant, Duck. And I do that for laziness, not style. All right. That is 100% why I pull that. So, Josh says, or Omni-Man it. Seriously, I'm bringing back Invincible again because Omni-Man is literally Goku if he hadn't lost his memory. That's exactly what he was supposed to do, proper villain. Or like they did with Kenshin in Samurai X. He no longer sounds like he did before in the remake, and the new voice is just not Kenshin. Right? Like, so to your second point, that's just going to be the reality. We're going to have to endure that. I mean, we're going through it now with Mario and the entire Mario crew now that Martinet has retired. We, oh my gosh. What the hell was I going to say? I'm blanking on her name, but Maruko-chan, the very long-running anime, her voice actress just died, like, today. So we're going to get a new voice for Maruko-chan, and that's going to be super weird to hear. What is it? They don't really use him anymore, but occasionally in The Simpsons, Troy McClure, he was, oh my gosh, what the hell is his name? Oh my God, this is so bad. Why am I blanking on this? Phil Hartman. That's right. Troy McClure was originally voiced by Phil Hartman in all of his appearances, but following his death, like, they retired the character, but he still sometimes shows up and it doesn't sound right. And I mean, if we want to look at The Simpsons, just look at how the difference between The Simpsons at the beginning or in even like season 10, 12, 13 compared to now. Those voice actors don't even sound like the same people, like Nancy Cartwright and Hank Azaria and all them. They sound awful, Marge in particular. So it's a sad fact of life, and I wish I had something more optimistic to say, but it's something we're gonna have to get to. Like, we're gonna have to just push through it at some point. So Josh, what you're describing is a little different than what I'm describing. So like, Omni-Man is in control of his like dual personalities, right? Like, he's actively hiding his evil side. I want more of the like, oh shit, Launch just sneezed and we were in the middle of saving somebody and now she's holding him hostage because she's bad now. Like, that's the sort of like sneeze schizophrenia, like Andrew referenced at the beginning, that I definitely would want to see more of in general characters. Yeah, Julie Kavner does not sound like Marge anymore. It's so bad. Like, especially her, like that is, that I just did, that awful fucking impression is better than Julie Kavner sounds right now. It's very disappointing. A question to fry some brain cells, asked Timon. What product spread Japan to the West more? Dragon Ball or Mario? I'm going to have to say Dragon Ball. Because, and there's one specific, yeah, Josh, she definitely does sound like Mama Bouvier, or yeah, Mama Bouvier at this point. Like, it's really bad. But here's my take on that, Timon. I say Dragon Ball did more to spread Japan to the West, because with Mario is not specifically like Japanese in its identity, right? You have like an Italian plumber who anybody could really, project onto back in the days of 8-bit. You've got Fantasy Kingdom and Turtles, and it's very just story. It's very accessible around the world. It's not rooted in any specific culture or story type or genre or anything. It sort of was its new thing. And while it brought Nintendo and video games and everything over here, it brought them over as like a business entity, or like video games as a concept. Whereas Dragon Ball, that comes over and you can't get away from how Japanese it is. The dub is, or, it's, the anime is in Japanese. Its characters have Japanese sounding names. The art style is very 100% Japanese. So the more you start seeing that around, you have to start going like, oh, like that's Japan, huh? Like that's like Japanese art styles. Like that's how they do their media over there. And you start getting more exposed to them that way. Like if we were to go back to, let's say, 1990, right? And look at sort of the attitudes towards Dragon Ball and Mario. Most people would have been like, okay, Nintendo is it's a video game. What does it have? Okay, it's from Japan, so what? But you go Dragon Ball and they go, oh yeah, I can totally tell, like that is Japanese. So in that sense, I think there's always qualifiers, and you always have to address those variables. But I definitely think in the end, it's got to be Dragon Ball. Just, it's a phenomena. Just, you could, again, the Mexican government held nationwide watch parties, government sponsored in public areas, for Goku versus Jiren. Like, it's insane how much this has spread to everybody, how much it means to everybody. And like, I know a lot of you guys here probably felt the same way, or had similar experiences as a kid, where maybe you're watching an anime, or you're watching something that's not Dragon Ball, or you're playing something from Japan on your PlayStation. Somebody, whether it's like a friend or a relative, oh, what are you playing? Yada, yada, yada. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is Final Fantasy VII. It's a game from Japan. Almost like 90% of the time, anybody you talk to, if they're trying to find like a reference point, goes like, oh, like Dragon Ball. Or like that one cartoon with the guy with the orange clothes. Like, obviously they might not know the name, but it's such a touchstone that I have to give it to Dragon Ball all day. It's funny that the 90s Mario movie canonized that Mario and Luigi were from Brooklyn. I know, isn't that so strange? Like, one of those funny little unintended like effects of cross nation work, I guess is how you want to say it. But yeah, and then, man, recommendation for everyone here in the chat, but want to honor Toriyama, go read / watch Dr. Slump yesterday. Dr. Slump is so good. It's so freaking funny. Aurel is one of the cutest like little things in the world. So yes, like 100%, check out Dr. Slump. Do yourself a favor, check out Sandland. Even if it's, and there's a collection called Akira Toriyama's Manga Theater that has a lot of his one-shots, including like the Wonder Island one-shots, which were the things those were his first works in Shonen Jump, were Wonder Island. And, all of these are collected in one tankobon. It has a bunch, like it has these interviews with him where he's talking about all of his creative process. Like it's fantastic. And it just gives you sort of like this early look into what Toriyama, like how goofy he was, how sort of fun he was. Like, I learned this yesterday. So when Toriyama was in high school, as he was getting ready to graduate, he told his parents, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to go right to work. Like, I want to get into work. And his parents were like, excuse me? Like, what the fuck? Like, obviously Asian culture is very, very taboo to not pursue higher education because that's how you get better jobs, yada, yada, yada. But then, so Toriyama goes and he gets a job. He graduates, he gets a job at a advertising agency in Tokyo, and he designs posters for them. And he does that for about 3 years. And after 3 years, Toriyama, he's like, I fucking hate the corporate world. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to dress up in suits. I don't want to do ties. I don't want to do any of this crap. I quit. So Toriyama just bounced. Now, after like a week or two, he went, okay, now that I'm free, I have to get a job. Like, I have to support myself, so I need to get a job. What am I going to do for money? And so he goes to a cafe and he sits down and he happens to read an issue of, pardon me, Kodansha's magazine. What is it called? I think it's just like weekly manga magazine. Pardon me. No, weekly shonen magazine. And he notices, oh, they're having an open submission contest where if you get published or you get contract or whatever, you get paid. Why don't I do that? Like, I'll just do that for money. So he gets to work, yada, yada. And unfortunately, the time approaches and he finds out, oh, I missed the deadline. Like, I just couldn't finish it in time. So the Kodansha contest is closed. Crap. At that same time, around that same time, he gets an issue of Weekly Shonen Jump and discovers that they have these contests, but they also have them monthly. So Toriyama goes, okay, well, I'll enter again. And so he enters it and he submits it. He gets a call from, I forget what the hell is his editor's exact name. I have it in here. Because I wrote all about this. So I just want to get his name really quick. Kazuhiko Torishima, so Kazuhiko Torishima, very long time editor for Shonen Jump, gets Toriyama's submission, gives him a call and says, look, this is a good manga, but it's basically just Star Wars. You parodied Star Wars. Since it's not original, we can't do anything with it. But keep going. Like, I want to see more of what you have to do. So Toriyama tries again. He gets one series published, and that's Wonder Island. It's fine, but it does well enough that Shonen Jump says, okay, give us a sequel. So he gives him Wonder Island 2. Neither of them really go over gangbusters. So he's like despondent. He's like, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed to do with manga? And he goes, all right, you know what? I'm not going to quit though. I'm too stubborn, so I'm doubling the fuck down. And so he gets to work and he's going, no, designing. And then Torishima, the guy who reached out to him from Shonen Jump, they were in contact still, yada, yada. And he gave him a very small piece of advice. And he said, why don't you try a manga with a female, like a girl protagonist? That's how he got to Arail. That's how he got to Dr. Slump. And so Dr. Slump became his big breakout in Weekly Shonen Jump. And eventually so he originally only wanted Dr. Slump to run for like a couple months. Like, it was not supposed to go on forever. But it did so well that Shonen Jump, like we were talking about earlier, went, you cannot stop this shit until you give us something new. Like, you are not allowed to not have a series running in our book. You are our golden goose. So Toriyama goes, okay, let me see what else I want to work on. So for 4 years, he does Dr. Slump, all the while toiling away on other projects. Eventually, Torishima, again, says, you really like Kung Fu movies. Why don't you make a manga about, like, Kung Fu fighting? The rest was literally history. And you know who would go on to be his editor at the very beginning of Shonen Jump? Torishima. Like, the guy who, like, recruited him would end up being assigned to edit Dragon Ball for the first half of it up until like Z. Like, that's so insane. Like, it's such a cool, like, that's the punk level of like mentality I like. Like, man, fuck this. I'm going to go do what I want, when I want, how I want, and do I want, right? Like, it's so cool. Josh says, also, damn, I know we've talked about Dr. Slump before, but you didn't know you knew this much about it. I love Dr. Slump, dude. In Xenoverse 2, my creative character, she's wearing an Arail hat, like with like Arail with the wings and everything. Like, I love Dr. Slump. It's so funny. So that got him Dragon Ball, and the rest was freaking history. And then Torishima needs to like get so much more credit, because as Dragon Ball was going, very early, first year of Dragon Ball, it's going. Torishima goes, hey, he's talking with some like work associates, and he goes, you guys are developing a new project, right? And you need an artist. okay, I've got somebody for you. Give this guy a shot. Like, I think he's going to fit right in. You know what that shit was? Dragon Quest. Like, literally, Toriyama was like, you should give Toriyama a shot on designing Dragon Quest. Boom. Dragon Quest. He's like, that's him now. Toriyama is Dragon Quest. Like, it's such a, I don't know, it's such a life. It's such a story. And he gave that all to us. And I really, like, this hurts. This one's really, really hard. And, as the weeks keep going, as the months progress, there's going to be a lot more. Like, I know on my end personally, but also across the world, lots of people checking out old Dragon Ball stuff, playing old games. So, yeah, like, thank you. Like, I as corny as it sounds, it's like, at the end of this, it's just like, thank you, Toriyama, for everything. Like, you've changed you've changed the world, so many lives, media, entertainment, you've had such an impact on everything that, like, you will be remembered in thousands and thousands and thousands of years, the same way we remember people like Plato, right? Just for the immense cultural contributions they made to human society. The joke, the joke that always goes around, but I think it's really true, is like, you could go to the Middle East, you could go to Africa, you could go to Antarctica, you could go to Greenland, you could go to anywhere in Latin America, and if you have like this, like, you go, yeah, show them your shirt, and they'll go, Dragon Ball, Goku, yeah, everybody loves it, right? Like, it's just, it's insane. It's really all just to be like, thank you. And I really don't know what more to say about Toriyama than that. Josh says, I was going to say maybe Square will bring back Chrono Trigger because Toriyama passed, but shit, if they do, the art won't be his. And then, yeah, nice, Josh. But, so we were actually talking about this, the whole style is his style, but we were sort of talking about this a little earlier where it's sort of in the vein of Nosawa finding a successor. There are people who can do Toriyama's art style and emulate it. The two examples I gave were obviously Toyotaro for the Dragon Ball Super manga, and then who was he? Oh, Fenyo En, who is a designer for the Dokkan Battle game. Like, they're really good at capturing his art style, emulating it, communicating it, blah, blah, blah. But there will always be that tinge of like, this is Toyo, but not Toyo. And there's also something to remember with Dragon Quest in particular. He didn't design everything by hand. He did, like, he's obviously the aesthetic base and the style, but they have, they've developed around his style, around his work or whatever. So I don't ever see them abandoning that style. I just think that in the future, you're going to be able to notice, like, this is a Tori original. This is Toyotaro's Dragon Quest, right? Just sort of like the same way we can do with Dragon Ball nowadays. I'm less concerned with the art than the voice, because art is something that you could, is much more easily trained than your voice, like with Nozawa. So, yeah, it's like Ditko. And even then I have yet to see Ditko inspired art. Right. Steve Ditko I don't think you're even the first person to make that comparison tonight. We made that way at the top, but yes, like, that's exactly what it is. It's, people will just have to start emulating his style now, and we'll have to take it from there. Right. So now that, I wasn't even showing you guys the right window. We've just been looking at this one the entire time. That's cool. I'm cool with that. But, yeah, so obviously here we are at the end of the main topic tonight. We could talk Toriyama forever. Maybe I'll host regular Dragon Ball streams, throw that into the rotation. But before, I don't, in honor of Toriyama and just one of the biggest impacts he's had on me and just all of this, and because this is my stream and I get to do whatever the hell I want and subject all of you to my pain, I thought it would be a little fun to bring you guys into the world of the new Dragon Ball Fusion card game. It is now taking 400 years to connect. Why is that happening? Please tell me there are not server issues. Let me try to open this again. So for those of you who don't know, I'm obviously a giant trading card game fan. Like, I currently play Magic. I currently play, what is happening over here? I play Magic. I play obviously Fusion World. I play Dragon Ball Masters. I play One Piece. And my love for these card games actually got sparked a lot by Dragon Ball, right? Like I got into Pokemon as a kid, as everybody did, but back in those years, Upper Deck was running their own game. They had their own Dragon Ball card game. And for a 12-year-old me, you know, that hit exactly, that was the perfect cross section. Dragon Ball card games sold. So I've been playing Dragon Ball card games forever. They've been just such a big part of my identity. I love seeing my favorite characters. I love all of this stuff. I just love being in the atmosphere. So with that, I figured, yeah, let's play a match or two and just see sort of what's going on. If we can get in, I swear to God, there better not be server issues. Otherwise, I'm going to look like the world's biggest jackass. And oh my God, I think there legitimately are server issues right now. Because, wow. Of course I had to do the Sentai pose. You gotta send it home, as always. Timon says Toriyama's style is a whole chapter in the How to Draw Manga course. Oh man, I mean, an artist I follow does deep dives into like manga paneling and oh my God, don't do this to me. Do not do this to me. Click to start. Or like composition and art and all that sort of stuff. And they did one like, and they're like lengthy breakdowns and they take like the red pen and they mark everything. And it's really interesting, especially for people like me who draw. And one of the, not courses, but like one of the things he talked about was Toriyama's style of communicating action and how he like, he's mastered the art of sort of the setup, deliver, and then you like the next page is the impact of the hit and stuff, right? So like there's even more than just the general aesthetic. There's so much to Toriyama's style that needs to go into playing it. I am going to shit my pants. Are you absolutely kidding me? And yeah, Josh, I think you're completely right. Lots of people trying to play in honor of Toriyama. Dude, I was playing last night and I got a message from them, like from the admin or whatever, just like an update. And it was like, you know, rest in peace, Toriyama, yada, yada, yada. And I was sitting there and I'm like, somebody legitimately learned Toriyama died from playing Fusion World. Like that was how somebody out there learned Toriyama died. Well, yeah, that's a giant bummer. It looks like Fusion World's not going to work today. You know, oh no, I went to the wrong thing. I hit the wrong button. So yeah, it looks like Fusion World's not going to work. That's a super huge bummer because I was super excited to play that with you all. I guess I'll either have to play it next week or start my own, you know, another dedicated show to playing Dragon Ball Super Fusion World or Dragon Ball Fusion World on stream with all of you lovely folks. But yeah, with that absolute kick in the ass, any video footage of this game, I can pull up some video footage to him and we can take a look at that. But I don't have any. Where am I going? Where am I freaking going? This is the problem. I went back to my my actual scene list instead of my stream deck and it threw me off. So let's see. YouTube.com. Oh, I spelled that shit wrong. Yep, I knew it. It's gonna take me to a weird place. Let's see. No, you guys are all playing. Let's see. I think one of my favorite streamers might be doing it right now. Nope, he's not on. Okay, cool. So here, oh yeah, no, we can take a look at what the gameplay looks like. Obviously mute that. So yeah, this is what the game looks like. You'll see you have your cards in the middle. You have each of your leaders on the side. There's Goku Black. Very good, like at facilitating the gameplay. Very interesting. Lots of like good visual animations. It's not going to be just me like dragging icons around. Like you'll see like there's an attack. And then when the leaders actually attack, here, we'll watch Goku Black. He's about to take a swing at Goku, who I presume will not block it. Yeah, Zamasu existing is also a plot hole, but you know what? Goku Black and Zamasu and all that bullshit is incredible, and I will not hear against it. Oh, he did block it. That's interesting. But okay, well, we can still see the. Why is he blocking? What a stupid move! Why did he do? That's a bad move. That was a bad move. Whatever YouTuber I randomly clicked on. What is your name? Who are you? It was a bad move. But you saw that, like, Goku Black took a shot. Joniku. That was a bad play. Learn to play better. Yeah, Tehillim, this is what I was going to play. I was going to play this exact game, and you guys were going to be able to see my hand, watch me react, all that sort of fun stuff. But unfortunately, there is absolutely zero server, like, capacity right now, which, like Josh said, probably makes sense in the wake of Toriyama's death, but still a bummer for me and all of us here. But yeah, with that, yeah, I think maybe in the future I'll start streaming that on its own. You know, maybe I'll go back to Twitch and start doing video games. I know a couple of you have asked if I'll ever start doing video games again, and not gonna lie, watching Zero has given me the itch. I really want to get back into it, but I also want to play stuff that people are actually, you know, gonna pay attention to. So I think Fusion World is going to be a very good niche for me to sort of get into. So I hope you guys are interested in that in the future, if I ever do it, or if I ever do it on one of these streams in the future. But that being said, yes, I think this is probably the best place for us to call it tonight. We have, you know, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. Safe travels to the other world. The world will not be the same without you. And I'm glad everybody who joined me tonight could join me tonight for this sort of, you know, talk back, tribute, hangout, open forum. You know, obviously Duck, Marcy, Timon, Andrew, Josh, obviously Corey was here. Oh, Corey's still here, my man. We got Zero, obviously. What stream would it be without Zero? We got Tehillim. We have Shinkai. We had Revul for a little bit. We had Jess for a little bit. We had that one commenter who has like the complicated name, and I'm totally forgetting about it, but I know you're there, buddy. I answered. We talked. So I want to thank absolutely all of you for stopping by, for hanging out with me, for allowing me to, you know, what's the right word? I don't want to say like indulge in my grief, but sort of indulge in my celebration of Toriyama. Again, if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to come here and do the show every week and hang out and hopefully give you guys a good start to your weekend. Again, that's why I sort of host this show. The world's really negative. All of our favorite entertainment franchises suck. So hopefully you can come over here on Friday nights, have some fun, have some laughs, and, you know, get right for the weekend so that you're not going out all bummed in. Obviously, this weekend, I highly recommend everybody go check out your favorite Toriyama work, whether that be Sandland, Dr. Slump, or anything Dragon Ball related. Obviously, I'm going to be playing a bunch of Fusion World, but I might also bust open Fighters again. I know Zero over there is streaming Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, or at least he started it. Josh says, play the Angels outro for your Toriyama-centered stream. Sadly, I do not have I was going to do a custom outro, but time just got away from me, so we're going to have the regular outro tonight. But, obviously, you guys have your last call for last-minute news, and that will be Toriyama-related. But before I get to that, I got to finish the sign-off and say, again, thank you everybody for stopping by. It was my pleasure to host you guys. I'm happy to do it anytime, and I hope you guys stop by again. If you want to see more of me, you can obviously follow me right here at Kabuto Writer Mav on Twitter. If you want, check out Bounding Into Comics every day. There's always new stuff going up. I've obviously got a lot of work to do as soon as I jump off the stream because I didn't get a chance to do crap today. So check that out. If you want to see more of me live, you can obviously check out the Bounding Into Comics live stream, the 01 live stream every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, where me, Society, or why do I hate calling him by his like username because it's not right. Me, Jacob, Cider, and Josh, when he's finally back, break down the biggest pop culture news topics of the week, primarily those focused on Hollywood and movies and television and all that sort of fun stuff. And if you, and again, if you want more of this particular stream, you can come back here, same Mav time, same Mav channel next week for another episode of The Good, The Mav, The Ugly. If you're new here, we don't necessarily pick our topics ahead of time, or like right now, we sort of wait to see what the week will bring us. So what we'll talk about next week, complete question marks, have no idea. Hopefully it's something a lot happier than the passing of a genuine legend. Yeah, Dante, I'm wrapping up right now. I'm about to head over to Society stream because I want to get in on that Tremors. Hopefully you guys come join me over there. Society Reviews on Twitter, on Twitch right now. Yeah, so with all that, take it easy, everybody. Here is our last call for last minute news tonight, and I hope you enjoy. I think it's appropriate. Try not to cry. And I'm telling that to myself, not to you guys.
う王って言うんだよ。ああ、もう一度もっともっと強くなった。
地球をそして宇宙を守るために限界を極め戦い続けた戦士孫悟空が今旅立つ。早く戻ってこい悟空。みんなお前の帰りを待っているぞ。
The last shot of the Dragon Ball Z anime, the normal run, not counting movies or specials or any of that stuff, just it's got to hit. Like, farewell Goku, farewell Toriyama, until we meet again. With that, guys, it's time for me to sign off. I will talk to all of you soon. Obviously, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up wherever you want if you need to get a hold of me. And until then, take it easy, everybody.
As the creator of Mara Jade, do you...
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zeb.
No way.
You brought
No
it on
way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm so
Out.
sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Ted, I got your voucher.
Out! There.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We'll have him like burned and we'll
I don't
execute
even
him
know
and
who
burned.
that guy is.